lie to this donkey because it'll make them feel good, and I won't have to go through all of this um, trials and tribulations that we tend to go through.
But you will, because you lying. You will. You lying. You
That's
will.
not that's not true.
You
It, it,
will. You will if you lying and you dealing with someone who can't you're dealing with someone who is not sure of herself. You know, you're a believer, so we know that God is not the author of confusion. I feel like when there's confusion and I don't know and I can't get a clear answer, it is not of God. So I can't. Bye. Sorry. My time is valuable. Like I can't. So I think that men spend a lot of time dealing with women who are confused and then say, oh, well, I got a lot of work because, that's the stimulation that she responds to in a positive way. And so I'm going to deal with this confused woman and I'm going to confuse myself. And now we all confused and now we all lying and now we all, no. If you're dealing with a woman who who cannot adhere or listen to what you're saying or simply respond to positive stimuli and she has to respond to negative stimuli, then you shouldn't be dealing with her. Because if you continue to deal with her, there's something wrong with you too. It's something wrong with you too. So we have to stop saying like, oh well, the story that you gave with the lion and the tiger and the donkey, it's like if they want to believe that the grass is blue, then you go ahead. They let them believe that the grass is blue. Why punish them for not seeing it the way that you see it, or punish them for seeing it the way that they see it? If you want to see
wait,
it
wait,
that
wait,
way,
wait,
you
wait,
know
wait,
that
wait,
it's
wait,
blue.
wait, 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 wait. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is the reason why we continuously go on because it's like, oh, let them be. And I understand that, and I'm learning it even more so. My whole thought to that is let go and let God. And
Yes,
that's
because
what
only
I,
Jesus saves. Only Jesus saves. Sean Bolden is
well,
not the savior for a
that's
woman
not
who is
that, but
confused.
that's wait, that's not true. Jesus ain't the only person who saved, and we need to stop saying that conveniently because Jesus is not the only person who saved. Actually, there was a lot of people biblically who saved other people and who helped other people. But we always rely because when we take that position of, oh, you're not, no, yes, we are the children. Jesus is our older brother, and we're his
He's our father.
siblings.
He's our father. He's our
No,
father.
no, the Lord is our father. Jesus is our brother.
Okay.
Jesus is our brother. The Lord is our father. He's our older brother, and we respect him and revere him accordingly. And this is the other thing that we get confused often, in my opinion, with when we talk biblically,
So how
because
many
we
women
do.
have you saved, Sean? How many women have you taken the position of saving?
Well, let me share that
Don't
with
go
you.
down that
Actually,
rabbit hole.
I
actually,
know.
I'll go down it. Literally today, and saving is to me uh, giving advice that can help them out in their future is what I'm referring to. And I literally
So
did it
that's a no,
earlier
right?
today. Huh? No,
That's a zero, right?
I literally did it earlier today. Literally, where she was very thankful because we were speaking about something. It was I was a trusted friend of hers, and not only today, but I've done it as well quite a few times. Now, saving is the word that is arguable because everybody puts this. Oh, you're saving. No, I'm not saying. I basically, in my definition of consideration of save, is I help them through a circumstance that they were challenged with, that they needed some male insight and advice that will be uh, unbiased yet very honest and direct, and that's what Jesus provided to a lot of people,
Right, but
and
we're not
I
talking
as well
about we're not
provided.
talking about um friendships. We're talking about relationships where you get in the cycle, the repetitious cycle of dealing with people who are not, that, we're talking about the bad guy, the confident guy. You're responding to a woman and you have to use a negative way to speak to her, and she's not being coherent with what you're saying until you get negative. So,
Well,
what I'm saying is a lot of people get into the cycle of trying to save this woman because you think she wants to be lied to, or you see that, guys are lying to these women and they're responding in a positive way, and you think you're going to get the same response by being that asshole when you really are a nice guy.
Well,
So
wait.
it's
I don't think it. I've done it. The point that I'm saying, I've seen it done. I've done it, and there's people who continue to do it. And how I have saved somebody in that case, I haven't been in too many. When I get to that point, I just leave the relationship alone. But the point of where I am able to tell somebody, it's usually because I'm not attached to them intimately, while they're able to receive it and hear it from me in the manner that they might not receive it from their man. And what I put on top of that is like, why are you listening to me instead of the man that you're in love with, that you're laying down with, that you're intimate with, that you're married to, or whatever the case is? Why can you hear it from me and you can't hear it from him? And often they will say, that's exactly what he just told me. That's what he said. And I'm like, why do you need a validation from somebody who has no alliance to you other than just a friend? And the man who you actually have given yourself to, who you've actually provided this, entrusted your body, your mind, and your spirit to, you can't hear it from them. Makes sense.
I hear what you're saying. Hank, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm good. I didn't know Sean without that whole saving though. I didn't know that was going on with you, Sean. Right on. Sean's work. Right on.
Captain Save Us. No,
I'm so surprised you have friends, Sean.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, far in between. I have friends until I say something that they don't want to hear no more.
What do you say? You saved? You would you admit you saved them, and they just like looked at you like you was crazy, and they say, "Let me unfriend this guy. He talking silly."
I've had both. I had people who have shared with me, thank you very much, and I didn't see it from that perspective, and I'm glad. I've even spoken to them, and I got their significant other on the phone, and who sometimes I know, sometimes I don't. And I share with them, especially if I don't know them. I ask them, can you get them on the phone? Because I don't want to sit here and have it be a bashing of them, because they're not here right now. So either I'm going to tell you about yourself, and we ain't going to bring them up at all, even if I agree and understand where you're coming from, or we get them on the phone and let's all talk it out.
All right. So Hank, thanks for joining us. We're actually talking about this guy that's in the media who can't find, or his date stood him up. And he comes to social media to ask the ladies what he's done wrong. I'm pretty sure you've seen that video, right? Or should I play it again? I'm not quite sure where you.
No, I've seen it, but I don't know if I got the whole video. So
okay, I'll show it again.
Okay.
So I just left the restaurant after waiting 30 minutes for a date to show up, and apparently I got stood up. I don't know what to say. Like, I'm trying to do everything right to be a gentleman. I brought flowers. I've been consistent talking with this girl for 2 weeks, trying to get to know what she likes, what she doesn't like. I made plans. I picked the restaurant, the day and the time. I've done everything to be just the kind of guy that would value somebody's time. Like, I'm just looking for my person. I'm just looking for the one that, I guess, is out there for me. I mean, I want to be somebody's husband someday, father. I'm trying to do everything that's right, and I just get stood up. Like, my feelings didn't even matter. Sitting there eating a meal by myself and realizing that nobody even cares about people anymore. Like, LA dating shouldn't even be this hard. It shouldn't be this hard to find somebody. It shouldn't be this difficult to fall in love. To be kind to one another. Like, what? Ladies, tell me, what did I do wrong?
great.
I'm sitting there laughing because I'm waiting for Hank. Go ahead, Hank. Get him.
Oh my goodness.
Look, man, I know my man Sean has never experienced nothing like that, so he can't relate. And I'm sure most men can't relate to possibly being stood up. That's good. I'm glad y'all never experienced it. Until have I ever been stood up before? Yes, I have. You know, I was at McDonald's. I waited for this heifer, even ordered the food, and she never showed up.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I didn't cry. I didn't go on social media and vent, nothing like that, probably because it wasn't out at the time. So thank goodness. I don't think I would have cried. I did all what my man's doing right there, right? I don't think I would have did that. You know, I just put a notch on the belt, made me who I am. You know, continue to build that callus around my heart for certain women. So they had to suffer. I just went on a turn. You know, they continue to build that monster that you don't want to deal with, right? How you just gonna come on my house and just knock me off and just leave? I look at you like that woman at McDonald's that didn't show up. Yeah, I'm about to get back right now. Now, of course, I was immature. I was during that time of immaturity, and that's how I moved and I operated in. Of course, you know, I think now it's changed. I've been saved by the blood of the Lamb. Thank God for that. I'm no longer a man. But I can't understand what he's going through. Now, like I heard you earlier say, he's never been rejected a lot. Yeah, it's obvious. I don't believe in going to social media about anything. I don't care. I was going through a rough divorce, and I not one time went on social media and bashed my ex-wife or go crying and do all that. No, I did that in the privacy of my own home. I dealt with it how I needed to deal with it, you know, and I kept it moving. And men, that's how we need to move. I don't totally agree with how he handled it. Going to social media is weak to me. But, you know, some men are just weak like that. So, I don't know. People say this is a hoax. I don't know if it is or not. But do I think stuff like this really? Yes, it does. I really do. Now, I wouldn't sit there and ate at the table by myself. I probably would have went to the bar. I probably would have left the flowers on the seat, on the chair, or at the table, and went to the bar and had my meal, you know, and kept it moving. And you never know. You might have found a nice young lady at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
In the midst of it, you never know. So that's how
I was just gonna say, Hank, don't leave those flowers at the table. Bring them to the bar with you. You'll find a lady. Hey, baby girl.
No, we good. I'm leaving them at the table because I need that every time I look over there. It remind me of the foolery that I did on the first day to bringing goddamn flowers. I'm not bringing no goddamn flowers, you know, woman, on the first goddamn day. You don't deserve that. I'm gonna tell you that now. You don't deserve it. I don't care how pretty you are or how sexy and fine you think you are. I'm not gonna bring you flowers first. I'm telling you right now. Everything you get from me, you're going to earn from me. Ain't shit given.
And Hank, you actually lended to the point that I made earlier, because I do feel for the guy in all actuality, but the mixed signal of women not being able to recognize kindness and consideration as an attribute that can be attractive. I won't say alone, but leading with that. For some reason, that's not attractive. And to the point when we come with, and we're not leading like that, and to what Hank was just describing, making you have to earn and making you have to earn our respect and or whatever it is that we're going to gift you with, you put yourself in that position when in fact you could have just got that from the start. That man might have had some confidence. To everybody's point, he probably didn't get rejected enough. And to your point, Hank, yeah, I've been rejected several times. But again, it's the mixed signals that we was talking about that I'm like, yo, I wouldn't approach it like that, like you said, Hank. But I also understand his sentiment, because when we're trying to be kind, for some reason it's not received well. When we're trying to be considerate, it's not received well. I don't know whether it's because you don't think that it's true. I don't know whether it's because you think that it's a simp. And by the way, I need somebody to define simp for me, because I don't really know what it is. I just hear it often. What does simp actually stand for?
I think that's a millennial. It's a millennial word. Simp seems to me a man who goes over and beyond for a woman who hasn't necessarily earned it. That's what it seems like the word means to me. You know, a guy who is buying her flowers, who is, you know, giving her money just to give her money. There is no real, you know, end goal to it other than to be this person that showers her with things that she's not necessarily used to, or things that he wouldn't necessarily give her unless he was, you know, interested in her sexually or relationally.
I have the exact same definition.
Yeah. So King, while you're here, what do you think about that video? I think we got everybody's response.
I cringed. I saw a little bit of that video earlier in over the weekend. I never watched the whole thing. I didn't know he broke down and was asking why like that. He's too old to be at that point to where he's reacting like that. I think that if you've experienced enough dating and things, like okay, so even for me, right? Even for me, I came out of a marriage, a 14-year marriage that ended into dating. And when I was like, man, what's going on out here? I didn't break down like that. I didn't simply go, what's wrong with me, and get to where I was crying over something that didn't end up, you know, going the way that I thought it was. But you know, I took a step back, tried to figure out, all right, what is it that I'm observing, and then make moves kind of like that. I think that right there, that if that's a legit video, because I don't know, I'm skeptical on if it's a skit or not. Let's say it is a legit video. That's somebody that does not understand having an abundance in life and what he's about. If he's worried about why he can't seem to attract and or keep a decent quality person, somebody that isn't going to just simply not show up. To Hink's thing earlier, I haven't been stood up, but I've had somebody cancel on me on the way out the door, you know, without no real explanation or a reschedule. You know, I had some action found say, hey, I'm not interested in meeting you, literally on my way to go meet them. And it was something that they set up. Like, I didn't push it. It was them reaching out to me, say, hey, are you available to go have coffee on this day, this time? I'm like, yep, sure, I'll meet you there. I confirmed an hour prior. She said, sure. And then on my way out the door, she just simply wrote back a text that said, hi, no longer interested in meeting you. I want to say I just wrote back, okay, and turned around and went back home and fired up the Xbox. No skin off my back. I didn't. Right. Oh, why did you want to meet me? No, man. Hey, zoom in on me. Zoom in on me right now. Men.
Hold on.
Don't do that shit. How that guy was just cringing and crying like that? No, don't do that. No. Don't go to Precious. No.
That's the cringy part. You know, he is a comedian. I did see some of his I did look at some of his skits or sketches, or I don't know what comedians call it, their segments, I don't know.
Skits.
And skits. Okay, so and they weren't that funny. They weren't that funny. So he might want to find another day job. I'm just saying.
Well, Press, I got one more thing. That might be some little bit of cringy, and that is when we blew the screen up and we seeing my man King with a pill on his lap, I was concerned about this. I don't know why, but I was.
The pillow's on the left because I have a mouse to like. I don't have a mouse pad like right now.
Yeah, sure, King, sure.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I'm thinking that's a little cringy.
Well, if it was a blanket, I'd be more worried about.
I don't have a mouse pad, man.
That's hilarious.
I ain't at my primary streaming location.
Well, let's catch 22 here for a second. We don't know what kind of relationship he's been prior. Maybe this was the breaking of the ice for him, and he just broke down finally. Obviously, 2 weeks in a row, I'm going to agree with Hank that, he shouldn't have been online. He should be crying like a baby. And I agree with Sean, too, in a way. Like, kindness is weakness sometimes. But I disagree, too, with Sean in saying being an asshole, get a track. No, you can be confident and not be an asshole. Simple. Confidence is something you build inside. Everybody, I don't care if you're a woman, man, dog, cat, fish, whatever you are, you're going to have something you're not confident about yourself. Maybe how short King is, or Sean's short beard, or anything. You might find something you're not confident about, and that's okay. You can build on that and get better. But shut up, King. I know you're going somewhere with this.
This is 5'8" of sexy right here, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Let's get it right. 302. 302. I seen you in person between you and your girl. I know who's short, who's tall.
He putting it out on Front Street on the Real Precious tonight. You in real life.
Oh man.
But on a serious note, seriously, think about it. We don't know what he's been through, what kind of life tackles, what of kind of road buttons he came through. That's how, unfortunately, we don't know what people are going through. I am very, very blessed to have the great network around me saying when I feel like some certain way, and people look at me like, hey, stop being a bitch. And 2, grow some balls. But not everybody has that opportunity, unfortunately.
Well, you know what? You're right. You don't have I'm not saying you have to be an asshole. As a matter of fact, I'm actually saying we shouldn't have to be an asshole. What I'm saying is women often respond to assholes. And I'm not saying all women, but a lot of women, and to Precious' point, there's reasons for it. I get it. But nonetheless, that doesn't negate the fact that what you're attracted to. And it's real easy to basically get those women. And I don't try to get them. I try to be helpful to them. You know, I'm trying to live up to the name Hank gave me. Captain Shaunaho. Save a
Oh God.
No, but in all seriousness, I'm not, put it this way. Watch this. Confidence and not being an asshole. Excuse me, could you just go sit down over there? You know, right now, this ain't the time for that. But I need you to go sit down over there because you're just kind of escalating everything. That's confidence without being an asshole. And often, depending on the respect or trust they have for you, it's like you'll get the response. But if that if there's doubt in their mind or spoiledness, it really boils down to spoiledness, if you ask me. They spoil, I'm gonna do what I want. And then
that's
it's
not
like,
spoiled. I'm gonna do what I want.
What is it?
That's unruly. Unruly.
Same difference. When you're spoiled, you're unruly. I'm not saying that they both always have to reflect that, but often when you're spoiled, you act unruly. We see spoiled brats, yeah, and they acting unruly. They're just spoiled. They want their way. And the unfortunate thing is we see it as kids, but when we see adults, we try and not believe that actually is happening at an adult age. Like you really, and it's not gender specific. Men are
Right, but
spoiled little brats.
trying to figure out why that's happening at an adult age? Well, as an adult, why don't you just move on from that type of behavior? I don't understand why we try to stick around and
Because let me answer
try
that.
to.
Let me answer that because ultimately it affects all of us. Because I'm community minded. I'm not selfish minded. I'm not only concerned
Mm.
about myself, and that will reflect us either directly or indirectly at some point or another if it goes unchecked. I.e., how we are all now speaking about the lady in Dubai, the trucker lady from Dubai who's in Dubai from Houston, because she just was I don't tell me what just did what she was accustomed to, but she did it in the wrong place, and now it affected the whole community. We all up at arms trying to get her back.
No, she should stay her ass in jail because she was unruly, and it's not that she was unruly in the wrong place. She was unruly, period. Even in America, that's unruly. There's just no punishment for it. That's what I'm
Well,
saying. Why are
okay,
we
but
trying to if she is doing something that she always does, right? And then she goes to a place where it's not acceptable and they punish her, why are we trying to say we trying to get her back? No, she needs to learn her lesson. She needs to be locked up because she did something that you shouldn't do.
okay, so
And so
same with Brittany, same with the
same with
basketball
Brittany
player.
Renner. I had the same,
Yeah.
yes, I had the same sentiments with her. You know, you're not supposed to bring this over into another country. You've been playing here long enough. It's not like you're new. You know, you are wrong. Why are we trying to correct or try to take that behavior into our hands and be like, oh, well, you know, it's affecting the community. Some of the community is just not going to be saved. Like they're just not. So I think, you know, it's men and women play a huge role in it. But when you're a man and you're a nice man, right? And you have to respond to a woman in an asshole way because that's how she responds to you, it's almost like, well, you're contributing to this behavior because who you are being to her is not who you really are. You're trying to be like other men that she responds to, or that she gets a that they get a stimuli from being that way. And it's like,
And that's not
no,
entirely
if she
true.
if,
That's
if she needs you to act that way, then you shouldn't be spending time with this person because ultimately you're going to have to continue to step out of your character to make sure she's in character.
and I agree with that wholeheartedly. The only thing I was going to say is that it's not my goal, for example, when I'm trying to be like somebody else. I'm trying to appease. What happens is it's like a child or like anybody else. You don't always conquer violence with peace. Sometimes you have to get violent in order to gain the respect, in order to now speak the peace. It has happened
But
in
that
life.
shouldn't be that way with
It is
women.
though,
I
but it's not gender
So
specific.
you have
Again,
to get violent, or do you have to, um, stand your ground? I don't think you have to get violent,
no. When I
but
say violent, I'm not talking about to women. I'm saying if somebody got violent with you, let's just say a boxer. A boxer, they talk it until they get in the ring and actually fight with each other. Then they gain a respect for each other, and now with that respect, they can have a lot of successful business, a lot of successful conversations, a lot more success collectively. Now that they have earned the respect, whether it was through violence or whether it was through checking somebody who that's how they get checked. The point is that once you get to that point of where they're now respecting you, now you can have the conversations that might be able to stir them in a direction that might be beneficial not only for them but for everybody else around them.
Sean,
all
with all
right.
due respect, I disagree with you.
Yeah,
And
because you
I'm,
shouldn't
I'm,
have
I'm going
to
to say why. I'm sorry. Go
Tell me
ahead,
act a
why.
Christian.
certain way for a woman to respect you. If she don't respect you, you need to get rid of her. Period.
I'm going to
I'm
quote.
not I'm not speaking woman though, but go ahead.
I'm gonna quote the most wisest person I ever met. My grandfather. And I say that for a reason like that. My grandfather used to say one specific quote. The day that you have to raise your voice at a woman and put your hands on it, you lose all respect and your marriage has ended or your relationship. And my grandmother and my grandfather have been together all their lives since literally right after World War II started. That's how long they've been together. And my grandfather have never raised a voice. He has never go sit down over there. Like he might go to her, we need to go talk outside for a second. I need to have a cigarette. And I remember my grandma going to him and like, you don't smoke anymore. Well, I do now. I do have a conversation. Yo, you need to chill out. Or whatever the case is, relax, chill out, whatever. But my grandfather has never, ever thought about going backhand her or anything like that. Never.
Well, let me just say this first and foremost. I don't condone putting your hands on women whatsoever. Let me just be clear on that.
No, I understand that.
But to your point, your grandfather exposure to the type of characteristics that we're referring to might not have been what my exposures are.
Oh, I totally agree.
So we might approach it differently.
Okay, so
and go ahead.
Go ahead. So I was gonna say his exposure, and be pretty honest with everybody here, was during the World War II era. Women were different back then. And second, it was in Greece. So yes, I'll give you that.
And so I'm not speaking to the point of this is the one rule that we got to do for everybody. What I'm saying is you got to understand who you're dealing with. If you're trying to make a resolution or if you're trying to get a resolution out of them, you have to understand, like you can't go to the reason why I use fighting and violence. You can't go to a violent man and expect peace out of them if you haven't confronted that violence.
Here's my thing. And this is me. If you're acting like a fool in front of everybody and you're flipping out, I'm not going to tell you to go sit down. I don't like you acting like a fool. But by the end of the night, I bet you $100 you're going to be single because I won't bring you around people that I keep close to me or friends or associates, a businessman or whatever the case is. If you're going to act like a fool because you're embarrassing me, you're putting my name down in reputation like that. And I built that name.
Okay, and again, let me put a precursor. I keep on straying away from relationships only because I'm not speaking of relationships between men and women, even though that is a topic. I'm using examples not specific to a relationship. Mm-hmm. I'm using examples specific to personalities and mentalities that we often come across, one of which is the unruly woman. And so when I'm speaking of when I recognize that it's an unruly woman, I don't just give up always. I don't just because I see an unruly woman, because I've seen and was raised around a lot of unruly women. So I have a certain kind of compassion. To it. Yes, I'll admit that.
Damn, what the hell?
I mean, what I'm saying is that I won't say I attract that. Because for some reason, I'm able to talk to them. I'm able to get a point across that sometimes they don't get in their relationships. And so I don't get involved with it always. I have, but at this age, I don't. But the point is, I recognize it clearly. And when I recognize it, it doesn't turn me off because I ain't trying to get with them. But it does spark something in me to try and get through to them because I see the self-destruction that they're going through, and I don't like that.
You're trying to save them. You're trying to save them. When they need therapy, they're going to Sean.
Sean's out there saving hoes, and he's the hoe whisperer. God bless you, Sean.
Yeah. Oh my God! I cannot.
I thought I had jokes.
Yeah, I there's no way I'm gonna have a conversation with an unruly woman, because nothing about an unruly woman turns me on. Nothing about her.
Same.
Her conversation, her attitude, her mindset, the way she moves, nothing about that turns me on. There's no way I'm gonna hold my. What do we need to talk about? What do we need to talk about? If you're gonna be disrespectful, cursing and talking nickel slick, what are we gonna talk about?
Well, you gotta realize, often when I recognize it,
You a
it-
stud.
it's
Are you a goddamn stud?
well,
Oh,
often when I
Lord.
recognize it, it's not directed at me. So
Oh,
I'm like, and yeah, so it's usually something that I see, and I'm like, and we're friends already, and I'm like for example, today, one of the friend that I saved, she went and said, one of her friends, she said, man, and they supposedly love me. I said, wait, hold on. You can't start with they supposedly loved you just because you're hurting. They love you, and you got to understand that before you start going into your feelings and now wanting to react to that. And
so
and she
you,
was like, thank you. You know what? You're right. Thank you, because I am going in that direction of the hurt that I'm reacting to.
yeah, I'm not befriending an unruly woman. I'm not having a conversation with her. I'm not dealing with it all. Unless she's my family and I got to be in the same vicinity. Even so, I'm gonna say, hey, how you doing, cuz? And I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm gonna
I
keep
agree.
it moving. I'm gonna find somebody else to surround myself with and be around. I'm not dealing with no unruly woman. There's no need. Nothing about that turns me on. I don't like all that shit. A volatile
Well,
woman.
Hank,
I mean, all of a sudden she get to the point where she gonna push you to lay hands on her, and she laying hands on you. No, that shit don't turn me on.
well, Hank, again, it's not something that turns me on that I'm trying to get with the person. I recognize it, and it actually is concerning and disturbing to me.
Yeah, but
And
you
if
talking
I
about
get the
you befriending them, though. Ain't that what you said? You befriending them?
no, I'm saying usually it's not like I go up to strangers and just be like, "Yo, you need to stop." Nah, if I see it and it's a distant and it ain't got nothing to do with me, unless the opportunity arises where they're asking me, "What do I think?" I don't get involved. But if it's somebody that I do know and I'm seeing it and I'm recognizing it, I'm like, "Yo, you dead wrong." What you mean I'm dead? And then I will go and explain it. And I would just, and again, it's exhausting, to be quite honest with you. And I don't enjoy that I do it. But what I realized and I learned about myself more recently, my brother brought it to my attention. My father was got his degree in psychology. He was a correction officer. He was he ran a boys' home, and then he was a teacher. I didn't realize all of that uh, growing up, but that's what I grew up around.
Yeah,
And
but
so,
when you deal with boys, you can deal with boys to the point where you may have lay hands on them. You can get away with that.
well,
You
the whole
want
thing is,
to lay hands on a woman, and
that's the
shit, you
whole
better
thing.
not. 2023, you
That's,
better. Maybe your
but that's
father,
why I said,
slap him around a little bit, but 2023, you better not do that.
but that's
Matter
why
of
I
fact,
said specifically.
that same simp she was talking about, they gonna come through and rescue her ass. No, man, don't put your hand on a woman. Even though she done already went upside your head 2 or 3 times, and now you went into defense mode, he's still ready to fight you. You gonna have to fight her, the simp and the chick. Now they
Or
ready
you
to
get
jump.
arrested.
And what I was saying, and that's why, and that's why I said earlier, it's not gender specific, even though I'm using, because I'm not that way just for women. I address men the same way, because a lot of men are unruly. But I don't just impose my thoughts or my principles on anybody. I just, if in fact, now, especially at my age, only time I even apply it is if somebody comes to me and we're in a conversation or they ask for my advice. I don't
Yeah,
even. I went down that road of imposing it, and it doesn't work. It's frustrating. You want to put hands on people, and that's just not. I'm outgrown that. I can't be doing that.
yeah. I mean, to me, having a, I can't have the same conversation I have with a woman with a man or a man with a woman. I don't. If I'm realize I'm like, say for instance, these shows. If I'm gonna be on co-ed shows, I'm adjust accordingly. So if there's like, what, there's 4 of us up here, 4 men up here, and 1 lady. I'm adjust my quarter like we all women up. They all women, y'all all women up here. That's how I'm adjust accordingly, because I know I'll be more safer if I come to you like that than come to you like I'm gonna talk crazy to you, cuss you out, threaten to slap the shit out of you, get out of line. The women don't need to be involved in witnessing and hearing all of that. They don't. And so I wouldn't do that around them. Now, what if it's just us? We're gonna talk how we talk. You know, the barbershop concept. We in the barbershop, it's all men, we're gonna talk what we talk. Man, see that girl landing boy, she had a big old, tail on her, she look good. Man, I would do, you know what we say. Soon the lady walk in, okay, we're gonna kind of hush. Man, did you watch the game last night, man? Yeah, that game was bad, man. They got blown out. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna switch it up out of respect for the lady and in the atmosphere. But to say I'm gonna talk to them, no, I can't do that. I can't do that.
All right. Well, enough of the Sean Chronicles of Satan's Who.
Now we get to Sean Chronicles.
We're gonna move forward. Before we do, John the Baptist, thank you so much for being here. He says, Sean, it is gender specific. Women can't defend their principles or standards against men. So thank you so much for sending that super chat. Thank you again for being here. We're going to move the conversation along. Thank you guys who are in the chat. I've seen some people join Harris Tribe Media Group. Thank you so much for being here. Again, John the Baptist and others. I've seen some others who have joined as well. But, in the line of talking about unruly women, there is another clip that is in the media now. And I wanted to go over it because yesterday, me and Hank were actually on a panel on the Lapeef Network. And we were talking about marriage and wanting to be married and why do we want to be married. It was a really good conversation. So if you guys get the opportunity, definitely go over to the Lapeef Network and check that out. But this clip is of a couple getting married, and there's a part of the vows that this unruly woman don't want to say. So we're gonna play it and see what's going on with her. Hold on now.
In sickness, and in health, to love, cherish, and to obey.
We didn't talk about that one in council.
We did talk about that in council. Yes, we did. So you want me to repeat that again? You want to just keep going?
I think we can keep going.
All right.
So, as men, what do you guys think about that? Because that man was up there. It's his wedding day. He's in front of everyone looking all dapper, and he's laughing and having that get along laugh. You had that laugh where you're like, you just laughing to get along. But, honestly, I personally think that was a slap in his face on his day as well, because that day is not just about women. Women got that all the way wrong. That day is not just about women. This is why I don't even want a wedding, but that's a whole nother show. It's not just about you. So what do you guys think about her saying we didn't talk about that in counseling, and she just totally, even when the pastor gave her an opportunity to kind of revisit it and say, okay, let's think about this, she wants to go straight past it.
Let me say this. I believe she's gonna, when that thing happens, when that situation happens, she's gonna go back and that's gonna be her reference point. She said, remember, I didn't say that's what I would do. I didn't say this. And she gonna hold to that. Yeah, he sounded like he made a bad investment. She seemed like she was a nice looking woman as far as the exterior. So it was a high risk type of investment he made. It's a high risk. If it pans out, it's gonna be good. But if it doesn't, it's gonna hurt. It looks like it's gonna hurt in about 3 or 4 years. Because this chick she looked like she's wearing the shit out of some pants. She got them old school hard denim Levi's, and she's wearing the shit out of them. And he's got a kilt on. Not because that's his beliefs, but just that's the outfit she picked out for him. Yeah, this is going to be bad here in the future. Unfortunately for my man, I wish you nothing but the best.
Sorry
Oh
to that
man,
man.
I'm laughing.
All right.
But I'm laughing because what do I feel? That it's a popular mentality. It's a popular jest that a lot of women like to laugh about. But I would have laughed along with it. I would have been like, "Oh, word!" I would have walked out, and I would have seen how funny she thought that was. Oh, okay, well, the wedding's over,
I don't
and I
know,
would have
Sean.
back.
I don't know. I don't know if you would have walked out. You would have
I,
tried
I'm,
to
I'm,
reason with her,
I'm
save her,
telling
like,
you, I'm telling you, she's laughing and stuff. I said, "Oh, we laughing now. We funny. Okay, well, I'm leaving then. So we didn't discuss that. I'm out.
Sean would
Oh,
accept
y'all don't
everything
think it's
you
funny
said.
now?
He
Y'all
was
don't
a
think it's
pastor.
funny now?
Don't you question my woman, Pastor.
Wait. Nah,
You say what you want to say, baby. That's what he say. Baby, don't you question my pastor. You say
I'm
what you
trying
want
to
to say,
tell
baby.
you. I'm
I
trying
can't
to
wait
tell
to
you,
get to the time. I can't wait to get to the hotel with him.
man. I would have walked out. I'd been like, oh, we didn't discuss that. Yo, I'm out of here. And as soon as I would have been walking on the way, I was, oh, y'all don't find that funny? What, everybody laughing when she did it. Y'all don't find what I did funny? I think I'm here. So are we gonna do this right, or are we gonna sit here and play this game? That's what I would have did.
Truth be told, the party should have never got started. If we had a problem with it to cancel it, please believe it was going to be a problem when we got to that altar. Nothing was going to change. Not about her, not the way she was coming off. So I would have never went down. I said, look, we need a little more time, Pastor. If you could be patient with it, we may need a few months. You know, might let me give it about 60 days. See, well, then we'll reevaluate and go from there. But yeah,
that's hilarious.
My turn. So I was on another panel with Black Man Unleashes, and we had the same conversation. Actually, I'm gonna say the exact same thing I said then. If we didn't solve that issue before I went on my knees and asked you to marry me, you bet your ass I am not marrying you. Point blank. I know for a fact, at least in the Greek Orthodox Church, Christians, the father's gonna say, "Do you know go in our marriage council before we get married?" He's going to address that. Are you going to be able to obey him as your husband? And are you going to be obey her as your woman? It goes both ways. It says right in the Bible. If you're religious, that is. Excuse me. So by obeying that word is very big to me, because obeying doesn't mean I need you to go clean the dog shit off the floor. No. It doesn't mean that. Like, obey can be so many different ways. Obey is just being
obey means to trust.
Thank you. That's where I was going with this. The trust factor. If I cannot trust you, you're going to be, I'll use King for example, because I know him personally. You're hanging out with King and his girl. I need to trust you. You're going to be proper, or whatever the case is. Or I got to trust you. If I have a business, I need you to jump in to help me work the financials. You're not going to go buy some Gucci bags and blow our financials out. I need to have the trust. So that obey word has a different meaning in this new millennial way. Thinking, I got to listen to this guy? No, it doesn't mean you have to listen to me. We can have a conversation like two adults, sit down and talk about it without screaming and yelling. Once you start screaming and yelling and you don't respect me, forget obey. Forget everything. I'm out. Simple. This is why I have not been married once yet at 37 years old, for a reason. Because once you start raising your voice and you're acting like a child, I don't want to deal with you. I'm going to walk away. And I'm okay with that. Once you're ready to talk to an adult, then we can talk. This obey thing has gotten so out of hand now these days.
Yeah, at first it was submit. Now it's obey. This is the first time I've seen a woman say, I've seen it, jokingly, but then the woman end up saying, obey to, love and obey. But she just blatantly was like, yeah, we're not going back to that. We can keep going.
I'll give you a good example. We're on one of my exes. We used to joke around all the time. Go, I go, yeah, you know what? When I do propose to you, you're going to have to obey my ass. She goes, I'm going to obey with 2 fingers in the air. She goes to me. I'm like, okay, I take it. I said it. So I get the joking part about it. But when it comes down to seriousness,
Right.
People don't take it
Right.
seriously.
Right. You're right in the middle of the
Yeah.
ceremony. I think like Michelle, God Happened to Me said, it's embarrassing. It's
It is.
embarrassing. You know, and it shows that you're not even really about these vows. That's why I don't like weddings. I don't like weddings. I really don't, because people are so hyped up to make the day, beautiful, and you have like this Barbie mentality, and it's all about me, and but and the man is up there like he's just an accessory, and it's like, no, all of this is included. If you don't want all of this, leave, because that's what's included in it. And if you're going to try and take it out, what God is meant to have in the vows, what God is meant for us to do with one another, because it's not just her obeying, he has to do the same thing, right? But I'm sure he didn't have a problem saying it.
See, here's the catch. What I always say is, when my relationship starts getting a little serious, I'm going to have that conversation earlier than later. And the conversation goes either way. And I always tell them straight up, if we do get married, our ceremony is going to be small. I am not dropping thousands and thousands of dollars on a wedding that
make no sense.
is not. Yeah, and you're going to buy a dress. Who knows how much these dresses are now these days? Like,
To
you're
wear
going to wear.
once.
I'm sorry?
I said to wear once.
That's where I was going with it. We can get something a little cheaper that we can spend all that money maybe buying a house, or upgrading the house. We already have one, or getting a new car, or whatever the case is, what is going on with that, or pay some credit cards off. We don't need a wedding that costs us $50K for a one-time thing.
$1 million weddings and dollar store marriages. Now y'all know how the dollar store is, okay? They never work. The aisles are always cluttered. They don't care. It's and that is the truth. And it's so much money wasted at weddings too. I used to bartend weddings. It's just so we used to leave with somebody look at the end of the night because it was just so much. Like we used to take some of their wine and liquor home because it was so much. It's such a waste of money. And the focus, your focus is in so many different places on your wedding day other than where it should be. When you finally focus on where it should be, you're actually right up there at the altar with them. Because you focus on the photographers and your mama having the right seat and everybody sitting next to each other who's supposed to be, it's a lot of things that you have to focus on. And I think that when you're marrying someone, your focus should be solely on them. I'm the kind of woman that I have not been thinking about my wedding since I was 2 years old, and this white dress. And no, I honestly wouldn't even care if I didn't have a wedding. I want you, and that's it. And if we want to go somewhere and take a flight somewhere and celebrate our nuptials, then that's what we're gonna do. But I don't think that a wedding is necessary. But you have some women that have dreamed about it their whole lives, and I don't want the headache, and I don't want my focus I don't want to start my focus being in a million places and him the last person at the end of the night. I don't like that. I don't like that. The actual King Smith, what do you think? Oh, I'm sorry. Who was that?
Go ahead.
There was a point that you said where he did that get along laugh. That's the thing that I want to highlight. At the point that a man is doing that, where they're doing that just to kind of like get along, that's when the relationship is done. So for him to display that before they're even really married, problem from the jump. He highlighted something too, that when I look at her, it's obvious she is difficult and going to be difficult later on in that relationship. If guys need to start, I don't care. There were a lot invested in that, right? That seemed like it was an expensive wedding. That seemed like, there was a lot invested and put into it. Guys still need to learn. And I ain't gonna say guys, people still need to learn that there are a whole lot of points in it that you had the opportunity to walk away. And at that point, in front of everybody, that man should have looked, did this right here, and they gave her the opportunity to correct that. And if not, walk away. There's another extended version of that she had challenged what was said and in the vows, which I thought was hilarious. That's not even the most egregious clip that came out of that segment. There was something else that she had challenged on that, Precious. I'm gonna send it to you, and I'm just like, I'm like, please tell me that this guy chose not to finish this with her. It's, hey, y'all, wins off, let's party. That's how that should have ended. This dude is going to find out, I'm going to say over under 6 years plus or minus 2. And so 5 to 9, that is the length that marriage is going to go, because she's just too difficult. He doesn't know how to stand on his 2 feet. And eventually both of them aren't going to be happy, and it's not going to work out.
So you're saying aside from that, her saying that she don't want to say obey, there was another part of their ceremony where she had an issue with?
Yep, and I forget exactly
money.
Which one. Yeah, yes,
it was money.
Yes, being broke. Yep. And the pastor said the same thing. And he's
rich or poorer.
Yep.
For rich or for poor.
For richer or for poor. And she was like, and then the pastor was like, we talked about this. And then, he ended up continuing and basically saying, to him, like, don't be broke, or, unless you something like that. And I was just
again, like, playing his side of the things off. Like, in order to make her happy, make sure.
Wait, in fairness, we're saying that it won't work. There are marriages that work where the woman wears the pants, and it looks like this is going to be one of them.
Yes,
because quite frankly, he's appeasing. He. This ain't the first time they spoke it, because the pastor said it, she said it, and the husband knew it. So this is nothing new. This is not something that was a surprise to him. That's why he didn't walk away. That's why we're sitting here looking at the clip. I too would have walked away. I'm telling you, because a lot of time they like to do it in jest. Oh yeah, I'm just messing around, and you dead serious. Oh, okay, you want to mess around? Fine, let's go ahead and mess around. Go ahead.
Yeah, Sean. I know of a few relationships where the lady in the relationship wears the pants, but she's not disrespectful in how she treats that man. And in that clip, to me, that was clear signs of disrespect. Because yes, there are several times that, especially if it looks like they talked about it in counseling, they could have had that conversation and likely straightened that up with the pastor before they stood up there and embarrassed that dude like that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, King, that, in my opinion, from what I observed, happened. The pastor said, he didn't say, the pastor said, we did talk about this on both occasions. The pastor's like, we said this in counseling. We had this discussion. So that's why I'm like, we're sitting here. That's what he agreed to. He's still at that altar. Hey, God bless him. I took off my cape earlier.
You gonna put it back on now, but then, he really. I was watching, I forget what it was, but the man said, we have been married for 28 years, and I knew in year 1 that it wasn't going to work, but I tried to make my marriage work. 28 years and knew year 1. That's a long time.
That's
trying to make something work.
That's an idiot. No.
And it's like at this point, you're gonna be back on the dating market. Women are not the same as they were 28 years ago. So it's like, as a man, why not stand? Okay, and this is where the confidence comes in, right? Why not stand on your square and wait for somebody and be patient for somebody who or you don't have doubts with after the first year? Because if you have doubts after the first year, it's like, how long did you guys date? What was she like before you married her? Did you know these things going in? And why did you ignore because they say women, we have an intuition. But I believe that God gives men insight, and I believe that God speaks to men too and says, "Hey, look, this ain't the one. I know she got a fat ass. I know, I know, but she ain't the one. All right, she's not the one you should marry. Maybe she's the one you should just take on a couple of days. Maybe she likes to sightsee, but she's not the one that you should marry." And I believe that men get this revelation from God. I don't think y'all he don't talk to y'all and he don't put things in y'all spirit like he puts things in our spirit. I don't believe that. So, because we're all spiritual beings. So it's like this man is standing at the altar being disrespected in my opinion. He's being disrespected and he's just going along with it. He's going along with it.
I know that face. I know that laugh. He's not thrilled.
And can you imagine the money that they spent on, their wedding? I mean, look at it. It was beautiful. Let me see here. I'm gonna try and go back. There's a lag on my end. Let me see.
In sickness. And in health. To love, cherish, and to obey.
We didn't talk about that when it came.
Beautiful dress. You got people there.
We did talk about that in counseling. Yes, we did. So you want me to repeat that again? You want to just keep going?
I think we can keep going.
And I think that the pastor gave her a choice. My thing is, okay, if we in counseling and I was your marriage counselor, and we're at the altar, right? And she goes, "We didn't talk about that in counseling." I wouldn't have taken that as an opportunity to play with her, because this premarital counseling ain't a joke. I wouldn't have, as a councilman, I wouldn't have taken that opportunity to joke with her. I would have said, "No, we did speak about this in counseling, and it is part of your vows." It wasn't. I wouldn't have given you want to say this or you want to. So you can tell that she is the type of woman who can get out of doing things the way that they should be done and get them done the way that she wants them to be done. And I think that speaks to that spoiled, what you were talking about earlier, Sean, being spoiled. And it's like, you, as a man, you have to stand on your square and not allow a woman to be spoiled. I don't think a man should spoil any woman, honestly. I and maybe that's because I was raised with my dad who didn't spoil me. And so I'm like, no woman should be spoiled. But I think it really sets a precedence in a woman's mind that, okay, I may not be able to get it today, but I'm gonna get it tomorrow.
And you're right.
And that starts the seed of a woman being vindictive. Like, you open that door for her to think that she could just play in your face.
You're right. And I think that we just witnessed two men, not just the husband, but also the pastor, who allowed it. Mm-hmm. If anything, I would have been, as the pastor and the counselor, I might have said, if I was going to pose that question jokingly, I would have posed it to him. I wouldn't have posed it to her. I would say, "Oh, so, sir, you need her to answer that, or are we going to skip over this?" Because it then puts the onus and it puts the direction in the direction that I was supposed to be counseling, that I already discussed with her, and I'm not pandering to her like her husband is going to. So then we just witnessed two men pandering to her.
Mm-hmm.
One of the problem is that he's one of these malcontent women that Sean loves to save so much, man, and she's one of them. Look, it was a problem in canceling. If I was a pastor, I would have had a conversation. Look, baby, you gonna go to college. Pastor won't talk to me real fast. You won't have a couple words, and I would have put a bug in his ear right then and there. Hey, man, look here, dog. I don't know how secure you feel in the situation, but I don't feel like it's going to be a good fit for y'all. Look, she has a problem with this already, and y'all haven't even hit a rough spot yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So what's going to happen when them bills start flowing in and then you get laid off? And, you know, you may go about 2 or 3 months without getting a steady check. You know what I'm saying? It may be hard for you to find something in your profession that you prefer, and you got to settle for something less. You know what I'm saying? Now all of a sudden you got her working at a temp job, and the check's not as nice as they was when you was working your regular job. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem for her. That's gonna be a real big problem for her. When you're gonna say, hey, baby, we can't go out and eat as much. You know what I'm saying? We gotta eat at home more. You know what I'm saying? Maybe about once a month we could go out to dinner, you know, and she'd be like, shit, I go out to eat lunch every day. Well, why do I need to switch up to this? Because you lost your job. That's on you. I'll still get my money. Oh, hell.
Hank, I'm just a bit confused, Hank, because I put down my cape and you just look like you picked it up for the man.
No, I'm not picking
Because
nothing up.
you said as a pastor you would go take that man aside and tell him these things, and that's the cape that I would wear. So you now trying to save the man from.
You say you whole saving. I'm not saving.
I told you it's not gender specific, but you done took my cape.
I guess so.
You got my cape.
I'm gonna have a conversation with a man like I do on my show. I'm talking to the men. Look here, guy. My man, come on, man. What we doing here? Is this what you really want? Is this who you want to bless with your last name? This type of woman who's already having a problem with you saying words? What about when the actions actually happen? Because y'all gonna have your ups and downs. It's not always gonna be peaches and cream. What's gonna happen then? Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, he probably need to let that malcontent, let her fly, Uber back to the streets, do what he needs to do, man, and roll the dice and take a chance on somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Maybe get him some individual counsel. Hey, man, why did I allow all this to happen? I invested all this money into this woman, and this is what I got. What about her made me attractive to her? Besides just her looks, was there anything going between her ears at all? Nothing? Oh, shit, I made a mistake.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Does anybody have anything else on this topic as we move on to our final topic of the evening?
Let me touch base on a couple things. I have a friend of mine that his marriage at first was horrible, but both of them went to counseling. They did things together, and now he's having the best time in his life. So at first might seem from the outside because we don't know what's really going on in their marriage or in the relationship. So to us, might seem is doomed, but is it really? And there are a lot of question marks that we don't know about. Why is she saying that? How is she saying that? This and that. And I agree, again, third time tonight with Hank, is how are they going to get through things if he gets laid off, fired, or he gets very sick at a point like he's not working. Maybe he comes down with COVID. Great example. You got to work for a while if you have COVID when it was really bad. Or cancer, for example. If he gets cancer, he can't work. He has to go to chemo. She cannot live that lifestyle like she wants. What's going to happen then?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it just seems like, premarital counseling, I think, is very, well, it should be beneficial. And I think that even after you get married, you should still go to counseling, because I see it as just having those tools in your toolbox when, you need something to reference. I know in premarital counseling, I was engaged at one point, and premarital counseling, they give you these books where, you are going over certain questions and scenarios and going down memory lane of your childhood and things like that. And a lot of that stuff comes up during those sessions, and you do get to see your partner in a different way in a quicker way than you would if you're spending years with them, because now they have to actually do a deep dive within who they are and where they come from and the decisions that they want to make moving forward. And that is a huge indicator, before you marry somebody, if they're actually going to be this vulnerable, hot, honest, open, and transparent person with you. It really does. And if they're not doing that in those stages, then maybe it is best for you to just, pick another date, save another date. I think a lot of people get caught up in not wanting to disappoint the people that are excited for them, not really understanding that those people don't know what's going on in your house from day to day. They don't know how you guys communicate or the lack thereof. They don't know those things. They just see the wedding, right? They see they see the woman in the white dress and the man in the tux and the party, the wedding party, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna eat good. We're gonna listen to good music." And it's like, no, the two people that are getting married really need to be, I don't think that love is unsure. Love shouldn't be unsure. If anything, love should be sure. You may need to, like I said, have the counseling or your pastor or whoever is your trusted confidant that's in your corner that's going to help you and give you the tools that you need in order to, be able to be good at this new growth in your life. But I don't think that you should go into it unsure. I really don't.
Well, I'm going to say
So,
one thing
mhm.
is I think, and I'm going to get a lot of heat for this. I think everybody, it should be a law passed before you get married. You need to get like so many hours counseling before you actually go through the wedding. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too, because it's just like school, you got to get a degree, you have to go through classes
Mm-hmm.
and you have to,
Mm-hmm.
and not to say that premarital counseling is going to not to say that premarital counseling is what's going to advance you in your marriage. However, it is going to be, again, a great resource that you can continue to go to when you do need the help. And like I said, I don't think that it should stop when you say your vows. I think that, you should continue to go. Even people that are not married, a lot of people only go to therapy when there is a problem. But in life, there are gonna be times where it's just like, all right, I don't know if I can handle today. I really need to talk to somebody. I really need to, make an appointment, email, Zoom, something. Because today the pressure is getting west side. Okay. And sometimes the pressure gets west side and we need somewhere to go to woosah, So I think that I would agree with that. I think if you're getting married, you definitely should have, some type of premarital counseling, and you should definitely have a certain amount of um, appointments underneath of your belt, so that like I said, we went through a book, and so we weren't done until we were done that book, and it's helpful. It's helpful for you. All right. So we're gonna go to the last topic. We're gonna get to the last topic. Where do guys learn love from is a question that I had asked you guys last live on last Monday. And you guys was like, oh, I think that needs to be its own show in itself. And so we're going to dive into that because everybody wants love. Most people that I know want marriage. But there are a lot of different components to it. And we're called wives, wives are called to respect their husbands, and men are called to love their wives. However, where do men learn love from? So before I play the clips, I'm going to go around to you guys and ask you, where did you learn to love? We'll start with you, Sean.
I learned to love from TV. No, actually, I don't know, to be honest with you. I never really identified where I learned to love. I know that there was certain characteristics that I admired in different men that I adopted. Outside of just my father and I, and you know, which was pretty interesting. My kindness, for example, came from a gentleman who I was raised around. His name was Brian, and he wasn't the most attractive man. As a matter of fact, some might call him unattractive. And most of the women did. But what I learned by being around the women, when he came around and he left, all they did was talk about that man. Oh, he's so nice. I love da 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 da. But in fairness, as I grew older, I realized they would talk nice about him, but none of them would give him none. He wasn't trying to get none because he was a devout Jehovah Witness at the time, so he was just very respectful. Hey, how are you? How you ladies doing, Miss? And I hope you have a great evening. He was just very respectful, and I would see the aftermath of that, and so I admired that, and I always and wanted to be around or be like that to get that adoration and that admiration. But in growing up, I realized that that don't get you the other portion that we was talking about earlier. That gets you the adoration and the admiration. They'll talk, oh, he's such a nice, but but you'll be at the restaurant like that guy. So I guess my totality of where I learned love is just through experiences, through failures in love, through successes in love, and more importantly, more recently through the word and through biblical portions and stories and examples that I admire now, and I embrace the principles of those stories and look for that. So I guess that would be my answer if I had to answer it, but I really don't never took time to kind of figure it out, in all honesty.
Okay. Thank you. Ruminant reviews.
This is a difficult one for me. But I'm gonna steal a Sean move. Like I guess to go start singing "I Love You" song really fast, but I'm not gonna do that because my voice sucks. But I would probably say part of it was movies, believe it or not. Watching like The Notebook, for example. I know how cheesy it sounds like a guy watching. You know, give me that look, Sean. How much cheesy it sounds like watching a Notebook, but I always wanted something like that. Somebody to fall in love with me because who I am. The other part of it probably was my grandparents and my parents too very recently. My parents were together till like 3 years ago. But I know that I know they were loved each other, but they were toxic, if that makes sense. But my grandparents was a perfect example. Even my friend I mentioned earlier, their relationship, but another good example. They loved each other unconditionally. Doesn't matter what they have. If they have a shoebox to live in, they're happy as long as they have each other. What happened to that? Is loving each other because you love each other, not because is what we have.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you. Actual King Smith, where did you learn love from?
I mistakenly learned love from growing up in the church and TV.
Well, you say you mistakenly learned love by growing up in the church and TV.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you say mistakenly?
My 2 cents when I look back on the way that it was talked about, it stuff from a biblical standpoint just doesn't translate to me as far as the way that like love should have been, because what I saw were people standing up and preaching and saying one thing, but then I'm using my eyeballs and I'm observing the way that the men are with the ladies and the way that the ladies were with the men. So I'm like, man, how y'all gonna sit up here saying that this is how y'all should be to each other and to God, but then in y'all's own house, yeah, I'm not seeing that. You know, it would have been a different story and more impactful if I'm watching and seeing what they're also talking about, you know, up in the pulpit and in Bible study and things like that. So I tried to replicate some of that, thinking that that's what I was supposed to do because hey, that's what my elders was saying, and it didn't apply, and I wasted time actually maybe uh, reaching out or getting mentored from people that had successful relationships instead of what I grew up in the church hearing.
Okay. Um, I'm a little curious as to what you heard as opposed to what you saw. You know, what example? If you could give one example of something that you saw that was different from what you heard in the church, what would it be?
Like when I hear, honor and obey, and the one that you said and I've heard too as well, and I'm gonna butcher this, but men being the head of household, and then men being the conduit to God essentially or whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, it, I man, I would see guys, whether they were doing it or not, still being disrespected by the ladies that were in their house. And I'm like, yo, if you supposed to be like this, why aren't they, acting like that? Or vice versa. Like I didn't see good examples of both parties doing what they were preaching to do. And it made me go,
Okay,
why
so that
y'all
was
listening
a
to
human
this?
flaw. It sounded more like that was more of a human flaw rather than and them not being able to make it applicable to their lives, really not, listening and really applying it to that's what it sounds like to me, that you were seeing.
Yeah, that's fair. Yet I'm hearing this and going, all right, if I'm catching, and not all, but I'm saying like maybe 2% out of the 98% that are talking this wasn't living up to what they were saying to me. But yet I'm here, I'm supposed to apply this stuff as well, and it just, I feel as though I wasted time.
Okay. Hank, where did you learn love from?
Well, I learned it from my grandmother because she was taking me to church 4 days a week. Kind of got burnt out because of that for a while, but Lord bless her heart was in the right place. She said see that knucklehead little boy who was out there doing wrong needed some help. So, but yeah, that was it. Learning from my grandmother and her love for the church and how loyal and dedicated it was, even though our church had a few issues, of wrongdoing. She still was loyal to the soil. I tell you that.
Mhm.
I was over here laughing, Hank, because you say you learned from the church going 6 days a week, and I heard about them church girls.
Yeah, I'm not a girl though, so it doesn't apply to me.
No, the church girls that at the church that you were
Oh,
learning love from.
okay.
I heard about them church girls.
You know, well, let me take it back. I did date a pastor's daughter, and we had fun. We was entertaining, and some of the rumors is true. I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right now. Welcome to the panel, John the Baptist. Thank you so much for being here.
How y'all doing this evening?
What up,
We're
though,
doing
John?
good. We're
What's
doing
going on,
good.
big
Thank
brother?
you
What's
so
that?
much for the super chat. You also sent another one from the last topic saying that the pastor should have stopped the wedding and the man should have left. This is why people don't respect marriage. So I really do appreciate you for sending these super chats. But we're off to the next topic, and where I'm asking the guys, where did you learn love from? So you're next, and then we're gonna play some clips after that.
I really just came up for one purpose only. I won't delay your show much longer after that. I wanted just to where I learned love. I'm going to say the church, but I want to correct what I think his name is Arthur. I can't read his name right now. My screen too small.
I think actual King Smith, you were
Okay,
talking
actual
to.
King Smith. Correct. Yeah. It is the church, but I think people misunderstand the Bible and what love really is. When we think about love from the Bible aspect, we think about roses and rainbows and doves and lily flowers, and that's what they tend to think. What if you love your neighbor and do everything right. No, it includes that gooey feeling stuff, but true love from the Bible and what I learned from church is that it teaches them what a man learns is how to correct, how to keep people in order, how to cut people off, and how to reward people for their faithfulness. So it's not just this ooey gooey feeling of emotions. Nah, it is keeping things in decent in order, putting people in place that need to be in place, and things that need to be checking them. That's all that's in the Bible. I won't preach the whole Bible to you right now, but for me, learning the Bible and the principles and the standards that it teach is a masculine picture of love. It gives a man everything he needs for his bride, for his kids, himself, the family, those around him. It gives you every marker that you need how to keep those things in check.
I would agree.
Praise God on that one. It brings structure and direction. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, and thank you for bringing that point to our attention.
And I also want to say, Sean, too, the Bible would teach you not to cape for women.
That's right.
I found my cape.
Hey, John, he was riding with you till you said that.
Now, John been getting on me in the comments all night. He'd be like, "Yo, no, Sean, no,
you can't do that. You cannot do that. You cannot say that, bro. Nah, it's like you hurt my young fellas out here.
Oh man.
But I'm not gonna start the full y'all show. I'm gonna drop down so y'all can keep rocking with do what y'all doing.
Well, thank you so much for coming up and giving your perspective. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all for
right
letting
on,
me come up.
Right on, Sean.
Salute, brother.
Thank you guys. So we've heard the church, we've heard grandma, Sean, what did you say again? Where did you learn?
Well, I said early on, I had an example of a man that I saw the ladies admire, and then now in my stage, similar to what John just said, I get direction from scripture.
Right.
He also said Barney too.
Barney? I love
Barbie, you said the movie? Oh, okay.
So I'm going to show a video. I'm going to show 2 videos, really 3, but one is like 19 seconds long. But 2 videos, and both of them is love coming from a mother. I truly believe that our relationships that we have in our adult life stem from the relationships that we had in our childhood, because where else they gonna stem from? You know what I mean? You're a child, you grow older, you learn from your parents or their lack thereof, and you keep it moving, and then there's a lot of self-exploration or other people that come in our lives to impact the way that we love, the way that we trust, the way that we work, a lot of different things. But I think initially it starts with our parents, and for you have that daddy's girl type of relationship or dynamic between men and their daughters, and then you have that mama's boy dynamic between women or mothers and their sons. And I think that there's 2 different mama's boys. I think that there's a mama's boy where you're just all up under your mother, you can't do nothing without her, she got a say in every single thing that you do. You gotta call her when you and your girl going through it, because mama gonna have the answer to everything. And then I believe that there is a mama's boy who was actually poured into and was taught how to love, and was taught how to be emotionally intelligent with women, and was taught a healthy touch from a woman rather than a sexual touch that nobody knew about and wasn't supposed to happen. So I want to play 2 videos. And the first one, let me see here, is this one. And we all know this man and his mom. We may not know him personally, but a lot of us have probably streamed his music, bought his CDs, streamed his music. But him and his mom have had a very unique dynamic, I would say.
Hey, that's good, Kanye. This is so exciting, isn't it? I love it.
Yeah, can you believe it?
I can believe it the way you are. Somebody gotta do it. You play tracks like Michael Jordan shoots free throws. Anybody does something that much and that long and is that good, it's gotta pay off. Can't go there and do nothing but blow up. Isn't that fun? The main thing is getting to do something that you really love to do. But you know what, I was thinking about something I was going to say to you, Kanye, that I thought was important. How you were down to earth and everything, but you know you got a lot of confidence. Come off a little arrogant even though you're humble and everything. But it'd be important to remember that the giant looks in the mirror and sees nothing. You are the reason why I'm still. You know what I mean?
All right. So I wanted to play that clip of Kanye and his mom because, like I said, they had a very unique relationship. And we all know that after she passed, Kanye kind of went like crazy, right? Like he had all these emotional issues and Lord, then he married a Kardashian. That brings on issues in itself. But when she was living, she was very, very supportive of Kanye. And their relationship, it was almost like it just seems as though they were tight as thieves. And I believe that, mothers instill a lot of things into their sons. And, I know Grooming and Review said his grandmother, Hank said his grandmother as well. Usually, if your mother is not the person that is doing that for you, the next in line is your grandmother. And then, God help the people who don't have a grandmother, because after that, it usually is the streets, right? You don't have your mom, you don't have your grandmother. So now you are getting or learning about love and direction and guidance and things like that in the streets. But there are 5 things that mothers instill into their sons, and I believe that Kanye's mother did 4 out of the 5 things in this video. And even the 5th thing, it was like she didn't physically touch him. She was able to kind of spiritually touch him, and the analogy that she gave him. So the 5 things, the first thing would be approval. Little boys get approval from their fathers, of course, but the meaningful approval comes from their mom, right? So a lot of little boys need for their mom to affirm them. They need for their mom to approve of the things that they like and their interests. Taking Kanye and his mother, for example, I remember seeing Kanye's mom, and she like know every word to all his songs. I was surprised seeing her, rapping and knowing every word to her son's song, but that is something that you would expect from a mom. And it's something that helped Kanye, because it's like, well, if his mother didn't approve him, maybe he wouldn't have the confidence that he has. If his mother didn't approve him, maybe he wouldn't have gone so hard. If his mom didn't approve him, maybe he would have, buckled under all the no's that he got in the industry when he was first starting out with his music as a producer. So I believe that approval would be the first one. The second one is how to relate to women. How did you guys learn how to relate to women? I mean, did you have women in your life that said, "Hey, watch out for this"? Or did you have relationships with your mother or your grandmother that kind of transitioned you into how to deal with a woman, how to relate and treat a woman? Did you guys have that growing up?
My mom wasn't a nurturer. She was a bit on like the rough side. So for me, I didn't really have like she would tell me like, watch out for these skanks and skeezers, but never really delved into like what a skank and skeezer is and what specifically to watch out for. So for me, it was like it was trial and error, and like watching what my other peers did and trying to emulate that, which one of the best example.
Okay. Anybody else? You guys have women that
Yeah,
helped you?
I want to jump into this a little bit. It hits me a little personal for me. I had a great relationship with my grandmother. And I have a very strong relationship with my mother. People misunderstand mama's boy and close. I'm close to my mother. I'm not a mama's boy.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I say that, because end of the day, I make my own decisions. She doesn't tell me to do anything. I do my own laundry. I cook. I clean. I do everything. A lot of my exes have said, "Oh, your mama's boy." Like, no, because my mother lives with me because I take care of her because she cannot take care of herself. I worked at nursing homes. I see how people get treated there. They get treated like shit. I'm not gonna put my mother in there if I have a choice. If I can, excuse me, as long as I can, I'm able to take care of my mother. I will. Same thing with my grandma. If she was alive, I'll do the same thing. Any of my loved ones. When I hear "mama's boy," that word to me hits home for me because you don't know what the other person relationship is before you judge them and make a title over them. How about you walk in their shoes one day, you see how it is. You don't know what's really going on.
Okay.
Well, grown man, I see that mama's boy is triggering to you, but I want to salute you for taking care of your mother, first
Thank
and
you.
foremost. That is a honorable thing. And speaking of mothers, I'm doing a disservice and dishonor to my mother when we ask about who taught me love, when in fact we joked about my superhero and my cape. That all I told you about my father and his things, but my mother's the most um, selfless person, almost to a default. And I actually love and don't love that attribute that I got from her, because what we're joking about is exactly that. My relentless pursuit of trying to love someone despite their shortcomings, trying to love someone despite their, sometimes behavior. And my mother does that and has done that all of my life. And so part of where I learned to love from the original question is significantly from her. And then what you just showed with Kanye, I love the relationship that they had, which my mother and I didn't have it exactly like that, but just in observing how my mother was always concerned and considered people pleasing is what they call it. And so that was a blessing and a curse because of the people pleasing attribute that I got. And that's the reflection of what I was speaking about tonight in reference to the women and um, trying to get across when the behavior is not right comes directly from my mother. And I'm proud to have that character within me. But I can say that, like I see with her, she's still alive, and God bless her. And we have a better relationship now because she was one of the people that I felt I was part of helping her to see some of those characteristics that women have that she sometimes embodied in addition to all of that loving, that helped me to recognize, and why I'm so passionate about helping that is because I love my mother and I revere my mother from that standpoint. So when I see those characteristics, that's why I'm drawn to them. So I love the relationship that Kanye had with his mom. And I wish more mothers were encouraging and were displaying that. And I wish that he would have had her a lot longer to continue to give him guidance.
Yeah, I agree. And what you were explaining, how, mothers, a lot of sons knew that they could get away with certain things, right, with their mom as opposed to their dad. Dad was a disciplinarian. Dad made sure that you got things done. Dad wasn't taking no lip. Dad said no to ice cream after dinner while mom kind of slipped it, to you on the low, because she cared and she wanted to nurture you and she wanted to make sure that your heart felt good, right? Dad wanted to make sure that your mind is right. But, moms make sure that you feel good. Moms make sure that, your heart posture and your heart is in the right place when you lay down at night. And so, I think a lot of men or a lot of little boys gravitate towards their mother because of that. There are some people that want women just like their mothers, right? Because mom was able to nurture, mom was able to love, mom was able to hold him in a spot that a lot of other people couldn't. And while mothers do that, there are other things, like I said, like what Kanye mother has done in his life, being that she approved him, being that she was able to, now I don't know how to relate and treat women, but I'm pretty sure, I believe his mom was an English major. She was very educated. She seemed like a very feminine woman. So I'm sure that she gave him advice on being with women and how to relate to them because of how him and her his and her relationship was. The third thing is healthy physical touch. Like I said, in that clip, you didn't see them hugging or you didn't see them touching each other. But that is another thing that mothers teach their sons, right? There are a lot of mothers who's like, well, nobody ever said, I love you to me, and nobody ever gave me the hell. Grooming. Is that you? Is that your chair? Was that your chair? Yeah, you need some more. You need some WD-40. The chair needs some love, okay? But
I didn't mean to get you guys excited there for a minute. My bad.
But physical touch, right? Healthy physical touch, because like I was saying, there's a lot of mothers who do not hug their sons. There's a lot of mothers who do not, give their sons a kiss on the cheek or embrace them because it wasn't happening with them when they were younger. But sons need that healthy touch because you are little boys who are going to turn into men, right? And so you're going to get those urges naturally within inside of your body. So you need to know the difference between a sexual touch and a healthy touch. And that's what mothers teach you. Mothers give you that love so that you're able to not then fiend for it or develop a bad habit of an unhealthy touch. If that makes any sense. Would you guys agree with that? Or
I agree. Actually, I want to jump in here really fast. With my mother, at least, my mother was the type of person who would tell you X, Y, Z straightforward, but she was harsh. Even to this day, she looks at me like, she goes to me, "You fucked up." I'm like, "Ma, mothers don't talk like that. Like, I'm not others' mothers. Like, I wish I can get pick up my computer right now, bring it downstairs, and put her on camera. She would tell you straight up, she's no bullshitter." And I am, when I say this, like, things she says, sometimes you're scratching her head like, really? But that's molded me the man I am. She never touched, she never really hugged me. Like, on rare occasion, I didn't see her for a long period of time, like say a month or 2 months or whatever. Yeah, she'll hug me when I'm emotional. She'll hug me and say, "Hey, you'll be okay, but this is gonna make you a better and bigger man than you were before." She was real with me. She wasn't like sugarcoating, like, I got fired from a job once. She goes, "Okay, what are you gonna do about it?" I'm like, "I don't know. Look for another job." No, you're gonna find a job by the end of the day. I'm like, really? I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not giving you an option. You're not coming back in this house till you find a job." In a couple of hours, I found a job, man. She was right. That made me a better man. She was very down to earth person.
Okay. Anybody else as far as the physical touch and how your mother teaches you that in a healthy way, excuse me. With saying I love you, with giving you hugs, with you'll see moms who like kiss up on their boys, because they you see mothers like kiss their boys, and sometimes it looks a little bit too overboard, but again, we need mothers to impart the healthy touch.
Well, I think my mother gave me a healthy. Hank, were you about to go? Oh, okay. I think my mother gave me a healthy physical touch. What I didn't mention is when my father came, I lived with my father my teenage years through my adult years, and my mother raised me until her boys got out of hand for her. So the physical touch that my mother would put on me was nothing like the hugs you're referring to. It was, "I brought you into this world and I'll take you out." It was making sure that putting that fear that my father not being there, being absent, putting that fear into me, which that she wasn't doing it constantly, but I had a fear to where it gave me balance and it gave me structure and it gave me guidance and someone that I could respect until I got old enough to where it wasn't effective anymore. She could threaten me and I would now be like, really, Ma, come on, man. Nah, yeah, you gonna wait, come on, Ma. And when I got to that point, she also gave me the love and touch of sending me out and releasing me to my father when she knew that it was more than she could handle for a woman to a young man blossoming into a young man. And I say that because my father lived in California, my mother lived in New York, and all of her friends were saying, "How you gonna let him go to her father? I mean, to his father, and this, that, and another," because they were single mothers, and she made the choice to release both my brother and I around the same age, around the same age respectively, and that was a loving approval. But she did also give the comforting. She did, it wasn't just chastising. She also did give the comforting and the nurturing as well. And as I just described earlier, she gave me a lot of caring for others and considering others, to the point like I feel like it's a blessing and a curse in all actuality. That what we was just joking about, I literally do these things and I feel like I need to learn how not to, which I'm learning now, to let go and let God. But I found myself always helping and being considerate inside relationships, outside relationships, all of this. So just hanging up this cape, man. I'm tired of it. So, but yeah,
Hank, what
nah,
about
she,
you? A healthy physical touch. Were you able to learn that from your grandmother as she was raising you, or when did your grandmother raise you, or did you just go to church with her often?
No, I used to stay with her probably, let's see, majority of my teenage years.
hmm
So middle school all the way up to probably about the ninth grade. So for about 5 years. So yeah,
hmm
and she was the one who always made sure she shared with us and telling us she loved us and all of that good stuff. Because I didn't hear that from my father
hmm
and my mother really. And that was my grandmother on my dad's side. So I heard it from her a whole lot when I was grew up around her and stayed with her for them 5 years. So yeah.
Okay. And King, how about for you? Healthy physical touch. I know that you said I think you said your mom wasn't really emotional like that.
Yeah, nah, she wasn't a big hugger or anything like that.
hmm
Grandma was the same thing. She might have gotten it from her, so I didn't get that from either of them.
hmm Okay. And so the fourth thing would be trust and confidence. So mothers instill that into their sons. Kanye's mom was doing it, right? She's like, you're good, Kanye. Anybody that do something for that long gotta be good. They gotta, again, this is also, to the first point as far as approval. Mothers do that for sons. If the first woman in your life is not giving you is not displaying to you that you can trust her, right? Then you're not really going to be confident because you're going to be like, oh, what she's saying is I don't even believe her because every time she talks to me, she belittles me, or she doesn't even listen to anything that I say, or whenever I tell her a story, she always got their side and never got my side. You know, that's how you diminish the trust in your son. You never approve him. You never tell him that he's good. You never tell him that what he's doing is good. And when you do that, you diminish that trust. You're not going to have a son that's going to be close to you or have that, parental intimacy. I think that you should have parental intimacy with your children. It's not a sexual intimacy, it's a parental intimacy, which means that we have a closeness that people can't really infiltrate because we've built this relationship. And that has to start with the parent because a child needs to be here. So it has to start with the parent. And when mothers don't do this with their sons, is they're looking for it. Now they become the class clown, right? They got this girl in class and they become the class clown. Or they got this girl that they like and they pick on her all the time, or they want to hit on her or whatever, but really they really like her. And then she starts to get, these notes. I remember there was a guy in school and he liked me, but the way that he showed me that he liked me was like he tormented me. And then, during the middle of the year, he sends me a 4-page letter telling me how much he likes me. And I'm like, you couldn't have liked me. It couldn't have been me. You sure you got the right Michelle? Because you tormented me. But I think that comes from your mom. He didn't have the confidence to say to me, hey, I like you. Hey, I think you're cool. Or I think you're cute. Or whatever it is. He didn't have the trust between him and another woman to say, okay, I can have this closeness with a woman and not really feel ashamed or really not feel awkward. You know what I mean? And I think that truly comes from your mom. What do you guys think? Trust and confidence. Where do you guys think? Do you think that your mother plays a huge part in your confidence? Or
Wow.
you think that's something you get, as you go along yourself?
I'll jump in. I got a very crazy dynamic. Because my mother, in my younger parts and days, she was my confidant. She was, she always used to teach us and prepare us as if she said, if I die tomorrow, you're gonna have to be able to be prepared for the world. So she approached instilling that into my brother and I from when we were very young, on learning how to deal with the world, learning how to be confident around the world, learning how to approach and go for yours in the world, and never take, basically all of the things, the competitiveness, the as you said, the confidence and stuff. Now, fast forward, this is where the dynamic changes. That was up until I started getting into relationships and bringing girls home. And I say that because she then, because her and my father had issues, often now I became this man. And this is more recently when we actually determined this, but I became the man who she had trauma or unresolved pain from. And I didn't notice it until, like you said, when I would be having a difference with a girlfriend or somebody I was involved with, and she would seem to side with or be understanding to the women. So often I ran into that portion as I got older, to where it became, now I was a man who was kind of like the enemy, now that I had the bass in my voice and all of the things that embody a man physically. So she sometimes at those moments forgot that I was her son and didn't trust me at times, because there'll be times where I would challenge her on decisions she made. And I would be speaking to her man to woman. And when I speak to her man to woman, as opposed to son to mother, it created a different dynamic that often went in the direction of her leaning more towards pandering towards women, and or allowing certain things, like we was just talking about all night, certain things that are dead wrong. She knows it's dead wrong, but it's challenging me to understand it. And I'm like, You didn't raise me this way. What are you talking? Where did this come from? And it wasn't until recently, I would say, since the pandemic, when we actually got to the root of it together and through some rough and tough conversations, through a therapist friend of mine. We actually started getting to the different spaces of where that was rooted from, and we now have a much better relationship, and we're able to now communicate not only with each other but being helpful to have the man and the woman talks that we weren't able to have when I was younger, as a young man.
Okay. All right. So you definitely experience, you're talking to your mom and she's definitely taking the side of somebody else. And so that definitely puts a kind of a wedge. It puts a wedge in there because it's like, okay, mom, why can't you just see where I'm coming from? Why can't you? And then in turn, it's turned you into the person of saying, hey, why can't you just see where the other person is coming from? You see how we don't realize the patterns and the way that our parents do things actually turn into how we start to do things and how we start to handle certain situations, because that's exactly where it's coming from. So it's
Oh,
like,
I agree.
you cut the umbilical cord physically, but not necessarily, in a sense of how the behaviors fall
Right.
down from
I
parent to child.
Right. I agree. That was what I was referring to when I said a blessing and a curse. Some of the
Hmm.
attributes that I got from her. And part
Hmm.
of it was what I was describing a little while ago is when she would be considerate, overly considerate, when consideration wasn't even something that should have been warranted.
Right. Okay. So the last one would be emotional intelligence, and that's what another thing that mothers pass down to sons. You see how Kanye's mother said, when the giant looks in the mirror, he sees nothing. That's a part of emotional intelligence where his mom is giving him a little bit of, hey, look, I want you to think on this. I want you to ponder on this, right? So I'm going to show this clip again, and then I'm going to show another clip of a mother who is the opposite of Kanye's mother. Okay, so we're going to show this, and then a different clip.
All right, that's good, Kanye. This is so exciting, isn't it?
So that's approval.
I love it.
Yeah, can you believe it?
I can believe it the way you are. Somebody gotta do it. You play tracks like Michael Jordan shoots free throws.
That was trust and confidence, pretty much saying, hey, look, you do this thing, and I believe in it, and I believe in you. And so that allows Kanye to trust his mom with anything that he has going on in his life.
Anybody does something that much and that long and is that good, it's gotta pay off. Can't go there and do nothing but blow up. Isn't that fun? The main thing is getting to do something that you really love to do. But you know what, I was thinking about something I was going to say to you, Kanye, that I thought was important. How you were down to earth and everything, but you got a lot of confidence. Come off a little arrogant even though you're humble and everything. But
I wanted to say that kind of grooming Maru said his mom was very straightforward. You see how she was able to check her son without necessarily belittling him or putting him down, letting him know that, hey, you were diagnosed and you got confidence and you might be a little arrogant. She said that with love. I think that's another way how women, or mothers, I should say, before I play the rest of it, it's only a little bit. But that's another way that men are able to relate to women. And so, his mom may not say, you need to do this, or you need to do this, or you need to do that with women. But her example of being a woman to him and having the opportunity to sit down with her son and talk to him about him. You're sitting down and talking to your mom about you, and your mom is able to deliver a message to you in a way that it reaches you, in a way that it doesn't belittle you, in a way that you're actually sitting and listening, right? Men or women always say, I just want him to listen. I just want him to listen. Well, his mom was a huge conduit and him just sitting and listening and hearing what she had to say, even with her saying, hey, you know, you can be a little arrogant sometimes, but it's the way that she said it to him and that he didn't feel offended. He didn't feel like he had to defend, you know, what she was saying to him. And I think that happens a lot in relationships where men get in relationships with women that are unruly, right? Or don't know how to talk to a man, or they don't want to do what you ask them to do. And your response to them has a lot to do with the woman who instilled some things inside of you. You know, did the woman, did your mother yell at you? Was she short patience with you? And so that's where you learned how to deal and relate with the woman. It's like, oh, well, if she was short patience with me, I'm gonna deal with you like that because I know that's what women respond to. And it's like, no, not all women respond to that. So I think that Kanye's mom did a great job in how to relate and treat women, because now he would be more willing to just sit down and listen to a woman because he's able to do that with his mother. He's able to have that conversation with his mother.
It'd be important to remember that the giant looks in the mirror and sees nothing. You know what I mean?
Right, and then that last part where she's able.
This is so exciting.
What's going on? Okay, hopefully it doesn't play again. And then that last part where she's able to instill some emotional intelligence with him, that to get him to just think about that simple line that she says, you know, when the giant looks in the mirror, he sees nothing. And that's pretty much saying, hey, look, don't get so big that you can't see and consider and, you know, accommodate other people around you. And I think that's where a man's mind is expanded in that time with his mom, when she's able to give him little nuggets for him to sit with, for him to think and ponder on. And that comes with men saying, oh, well, she don't know. She never talks about anything. She's simple-minded, and I can't really even have a conversation with her. You know, you get that from your mom, being able to have those conversations with your mom. So this is a movie here. I forget what it was called, but it's one of the Tyler Perry movies. Y'all let me know in the chat if you recognize it. But this is a mother who is not so kind to her son.
Get up and stand up. What do you want? Hello.
Hello.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Sit up straight, rise and greet me.
Sit up and stand up. What do you want?
Hello will do fine.
Hello, Mother.
Thank you.
You look quite lovely.
Thank you. You should see the wedding dress. It's not quite my taste, but it'll work just fine. Oh, I'm so proud of you. You remind me of your father.
I told you shouldn't get married.
Natalie is a respectable girl from a very fine family. Unlike that trailer park cheerleader you married.
Oh.
Mother, if I remember correctly, Dad met you at a trailer park.
Mother, the engagement party, how's the planning going? Mom?
It's gonna be beautiful. What is this, Walt? A drink in the middle of the day?
Well, if I have to sit here with you, you better be glad it's not a mountain of cocaine.
Jesus.
You enjoy this, don't you?
Oh, yes, I am.
You think it's funny? Why can't you be more like your brother?
What's going on?
I wanted to see you. You insisted on inviting your brother.
Well, you said it was about business, and He is a part of the business, so I thought he should be here.
Still going to your meetings?
Why? Yes. Yes, he is. I make sure of it.
Mom, what's going on?
I read the newspaper.
All right, so I'm gonna stop it there. But whew, she was intense. She was intense. And she didn't approve him. She was very condescending. She had this energy to her that says, I could care less if you're even alive right now. But do you see the energy that it resonates within him? Right? How do you say that you wish that instead of the drinks, it was a mountain of cocaine? You talk to your mother. But mothers start that. His mother started that energy inside of him. That's not something children want love from their parents. And so when you don't get it and you get somebody that's talking to you like they're not your child, like you didn't birth them, then you start a very strange relationship. But you don't only start it there, because whatever woman he starts to talk to or whatever woman he wants to be with, oh, he's going to channel that energy with her. He's going to know it very well. He's going to know that energy very, very well. So what did you guys think about that in comparison to the Kanye clip?
Yeah, I think I would have had to left that table, man, and I would have just sent my brother send me an email on what she's talking about, or text me, or call me later about what she's talking about. Because yeah, that you don't want to disrespect your mother, but man, when your mother's acting like that, it's kind of hard not to. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather just leave the situation and let her be in her own misery.
Well, I think she's kind of harsh, to be honest with you guys. I think way too harsh for a mother to speak like that. Like, I have never heard any mother speak like that. I'm gonna use my friends, friends' mothers I've been around. I've never heard anybody talk like that. Like, I know it is a skid, but god damn, that's harsh.
Yeah, that was a movie. But that definitely happens in real life. You have two brothers and you have a mother who loves the direction that one brother went into, and then the other brother is nothing but a quote unquote failure to her because he didn't do what she wanted him to do. He didn't do, what she dreamed for him to do. And so now that he's not doing that, he's a disgrace in her eyes. And mothers have to realize that you can destroy your son that way. You can destroy your son, not being able to approve him and give him that emotional intelligence. And although you don't agree, you still love him, right? Because it don't even look like she loved him. And even if she said it, would you believe it?
Well, yes, I would, because she too was traumatized, and it shows all within her. So I would have to say that she too she's hurt, and hurt people, and she unfortunately has her values in different places, because in that clip that she said she was more concerned about her hurtness was I guess coming from the trailer park, and always wanting to be validated, always wanted to be accepted as someone more prestigious, and that's just my observation from that little clip. And unfortunately it reflects when you see characteristics that you were ashamed of within your children, and you start really having a significant reaction, because really what they're fighting over is her despise of seeing herself in him, and him being disappointing to her, which makes him resentful of her to him. because all she showed was resentment. And so
Mhm.
the hurt that she caused him, he now reflects and shoots it right back at her, and the cycle continues.
Mhm. Okay.
So it's an
Hank or
unfortunate
King?
scenario. Hank, what's up, bro?
The difference between the two clips between Kanye and this one. I think Hank actually went.
Yeah. King?
All right,
I
King.
think he is Master King up.
Yeah, I don't have anything for this one. I mean, they were definitely the exact opposite. I think that the portrayal of not showing that nurturing and being extremely disrespectful can hurt somebody, especially like if it's your son. And he said something earlier about you don't want to be disrespectful towards your mom, and I'm like, nah, if mom's is being extremely disrespectful like that, ain't the gloves come off.
Yeah, because you do have to sometimes teach people the way to treat you. And unfortunately, if mom is not going to be setting the example, sometimes kids find themselves in the parent's role and being the more mature one. Because, like Sean said, mom, maybe she's still hurt from being found in the trailer park, and maybe she's not over guilt and shame from that. And now she has a son who actually seeks out the same women that she once was. And instead of giving him the real, and instead of, giving him the person and not the parent, because I think at some point all parents need to, you know, reveal themselves as the people that they are and not just the parents that they are, because the person in you got hurt. The parent in you is just raising us, but the person in you, when you take off that parent hat, when you take off that superhero cape, you know now you're just a person, and that person was hurt, that person did go through heartache, that person did go through heartbreak, that person did go through mistakes. You made your own mistakes, and sometimes parents hold their children to a standard that they were never even able to achieve. But instead of being real, and instead of saying, you know what, I went through the same thing as you when you was a child, and honestly, I really never got over it, or I was never able to really find the answers or whatever. But now that you're here, let's do it this way. I know you may want to do it. Is communication is important, but the communication with the son and the mother is very important, because then when you have relationships with women, the women can see when you didn't have a good relationship with your mother. Women, just like women want to know what kind of relationship women or that woman has with her father, we as women want to know what kind of relationship that you had with your mom. And a lot of times we as women can tell when you didn't have a good relationship with your mom, because for one, no, you're not confident. You're not. You're not confident. You're not confident. There's no way you can have a good relationship with your mother and not be confident, because your mom is not only going to love you, she going to joke with you, she going to give you the real, like Grooming and Reviews said, and that comes from a good relationship with your mother. She's going to affirm you. She's going to make you feel like you could do any and everything in the world without lying to you, of course, and being fake with you. But she's going to give you that confidence. My mom said I could do it. Just like women be like, well, my dad said, my daddy said. It's the same thing with men when it comes to their mom.
Well, I
Because
will.
because mom does give a little bit of the leniency, you know, most times when it comes to mothers and fathers, you have this bond with the mom that's like,
I will push
let me
back
do
on
it.
that a little, Precious, for the
Mm,
simple fact that that confidence that you're referring to, that Donda just displayed with Kanye, is not common. That's not something that a lot of mothers do. Unfortunately, she is a rare breed in motherhood. As a matter of fact, what they do is coddle often. What they
Mhm.
do is try and give them an easier route or easier way, and it reflects in so many different ways of them doing it. They display it in so many different ways. One is affirming, as you just said, giving a false sense of security, affirming things that aren't true, making them feel like, oh yeah, doing the things that we were just discussing. People do with them, with women, pretty often is just yes, 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 you, and often they spoil them. And
Mhm.
so it's not always that confidence comes from the mother, and I don't think that you were saying it always does, but the point is that it rarely does, is why I will push back that what Donda
Mhm.
is unique, and that's why Kanye is who he is in his uniqueness. Because if all of us got that from our mothers to the point I think that you was making, we would have the confidence, the overwhelming confidence to where it can look like arrogance that Kanye has.
Mhm.
You know, and that was a blessing for him to get from his mom. And I think you
Mhm.
guys have a similar attribute that you described, her being an English major, you being an English major, and that is a very significant element that we can't just skip over
Right.
because that gave her the ability to communicate in a manner that most people don't have the ability to do.
Mhm.
Never mind a mother or a father. So he
Right.
had a whole different dynamic that I will give her credit for, but I cannot sit and just say that that's attributed to most and or all mothers.
Mhm. Okay. I will say too that, most sons, while you have your mother and your father, um, most sons and mothers, you're looking to your mom to save you because she's your mother, right? She's your mom. And I think a lot of times mothers don't come to the rescue for their sons for whatever the case may be, whatever the situation is. And I think that when that is the case, then we have a lot of men who would think that the women that they deal with in relationships, if the relationship fails, oh, she didn't come to save me. And that flashback of not being saved comes through when you're dealing with other people, whether it be in a sexual relationship or a relationship with a woman. Um, that's where that comes from, not having that relationship with your mother. And I think, like I said, women can definitely tell when you don't have a relationship with your mom because you're discombobulated when it comes to dealing with women. You're not confident. You're expecting a woman to do things that your mom should have done. And that's why I say the title is Teach Me How to Love, because at the end of the day, if your mother didn't teach you how to love, you're indirectly asking a woman to teach you how to love. If your mom didn't teach you that, any woman that you get with, you're if you're not saying those words like Music Soul Child did, you're indirectly asking her to teach you how to love. But the first person you're supposed to learn it from is your mom. And then, your dad, the church, confidants, trusted people in your community. But that should have come from your mother. And I think a lot of men are walking around butt hurt because they didn't learn that from their mother. They didn't learn that from their father. They learned it from the streets, from women who were unruly, from women who didn't know how to communicate, from women who didn't really truly like them. They were using them. And so when you have to learn from the streets, then you're going to get hurt more often than not because the streets don't love you like you like you think they do, right? The streets they don't love you like you think they do. So I think when men realize that they didn't get that from their mom, then it's time to take a step in a direction of, okay, I didn't get this when I was younger. How do I then turn this ship around so I'm not involving myself in unhealthy relationships with women? You know, we get the men to get on these panels, and I really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate your perspective. I really do. But then you have men that get on the internet and they talk about women, or they point women out, and they say that they're here to help women, but yet it doesn't seem like you want to help. It doesn't seem like you want to understand. That comes from not being loved by your mother. That comes from not having a mother love and nurture your heart so that you know how to do the same to the next person. Somebody left a super chat and they would like me to read it, in which I will. I want to get to final thoughts and then get out of here. Do Business says, what's the best way to pursue a woman that you admire, even if she's desired by other men? Oh, wait. Did it go away? Okay. What's the best way to pursue a woman that you admire, even if she's desired by other men? Well, I'm going to let you know right now. You can't be worried about other people. This comes with the confidence.
I was just about to say that.
This comes with the confidence. Because if a woman was worried about every woman that is interested in you or who like you or whatever, she's shooting herself in the foot.
Oh, well, then she should have no feet, because you often do that. You're more worried about it than men are sometimes. But to your point, I agree. Go ahead.
And then you have people that says you don't pursue her. The best way to pursue a woman that you admire, even if she's desired by other men, is telling her that you admire her. What is stopping you? The other men that you know nothing of, you don't know their names, you don't know what they look like, you don't know. I don't understand. If a man should have what he wants, I'm gonna say this every single live. A man, you guys should have what you want. If you don't have what you want, it's because you're not going after what you want. You're not confident in what you want. You think you're allowing extremities to stop you.
Well, that's
You're
true.
allowing extremities to stop you. Oh, she's desired by other men.
Well, that's true.
Okay.
But
if she's a beautiful woman, she's going to be desired by other men. Just like if you're a good-looking man, you're going to be desired by other women. If you're a man who makes a great living for yourself, you're going to be desired by other women. But is the woman that likes you or that's interested in you, should she don't we all have to compete? Once she's with you, then she should be off the market. When she's with you, then she should stop entertaining other men. But until you step up and say, hey, look, I'm feeling you, I like you, I want to see where this goes, don't be worried about what other men are taking her out and what they're doing with her. That's your loss, because you ain't speak up. I don't understand.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying. And to the first part of the question, I think you answered it correctly. How do you pursue a woman confidently? That's first and foremost, to the point that you was referring to. Honestly, but to be honest takes a lot of confidence, and that's
Does it?
really, yeah, absolutely. Only reason why
Honesty
people
takes
lie,
confidence. I'm
yeah,
learning something new tonight.
because
Honesty takes confidence.
absolutely, because only reason why people lie is because they're afraid. They're afraid of
Wow.
something. They're afraid of what they can lose. They're afraid of what consequences might happen if they tell the truth. It takes more heart and confidence to be honest than it does to do anything else.
Mm. I thought, just breathing was a prerequisite to being honest, but I can
Yeah,
see what you're saying. It takes confidence to be
absolutely.
honest,
I
but
mean,
I,
there's a lot of
I
people who
just
breathe that don't that cannot be honest for the life of them.
uh,
They
yeah.
can sit there and breathe and tell you everything but the honest truth, and have all the reasons of why they can't be, or don't have any reasons whatsoever. But telling the truth, and honest, open transparency is not something that comes easy.
You're right. What Mel says, confidence only comes from positive reinforcement. You're looking at things from a woman's perspective, not the perspective of men being cussed out along with allegations. Yes, confidence only comes from positive reinforcements, like I said, and like we have been saying, that comes from your mother. So if you didn't get if you didn't get those positive reinforcements and things like that from your mom, then when you don't get them from the woman that you are interested in, it's going to hurt and sting a little bit more. You're going to be looking like that man who said that he rung roses and was stood up because you you haven't gotten positive reinforcements to the point that when you are rejected, you're not heartbroken over that.
Right.
Um,
And I pushed back on that a little earlier, and I push back on it again. Confidence does not come from a mother. That can come from a mother, no doubt, but it does not reflect. Actually, the confidence usually comes from the father in all the children. The confidence that the nurturing comes
I
from the
don't
mother.
know.
The father reinforces the confidence. As a matter of fact, with I know definitely it comes from the father to the daughter because I have daughters, and I'm the one who
I
instills the
don't know. I
confidence.
got a lot of confidence from my mom. My dad was the disciplinarian. He gave me a lot of my
Now let me ask you
discipline
this.
and
Now let me ask you
structure.
this. When in fact,
Confidence?
let me ask you this. When in fact you was going up against the world, would you have want your mother there or your father there?
My mom.
And both of y'all together, who are y'all gonna be?
When you said going up against the world, what do you mean?
Yeah,
Like
meaning
in battle?
literally in battle, if we want to call it that. But the confidence that you need, like I know you were playing basketball, so that's not the best example, but let's use it as an example. The confidence to compete against the other girls, or even some of the boys that you now had, built confidence to be able to beat. That came from your mother.
Well, no, my dad was there for but she wasn't a sports person. But that was my dad. So that was my dad. But that's what I said, the discipline. That I wouldn't call that confidence. I would call that discipline. He made
Right.
sure I was at practice. He made sure that, I did all those things, but it wasn't
But
necessarily
how
a
you gonna say
confidence.
that's not confidence when that's what gave you the competitive edge?
But that's discipline. See, my
Um,
mom gave me confidence saying, you can do it. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. My dad was like, you can't do whatever you want to do. You're going to do what you work at. You're going to do what you're disciplined. You're going to do what that's
and
not
that's why
necessarily
and that's
confidence.
why
Confidence,
that's
mom say, like Kanye's mom said, you're great. What you're doing this, and if it as long as you've been doing it, you should be good. You should, dad make sure you do it. Moms give you the push and the verbiage to make you want to. I always say that women move men with their words. That's what we do. We
and
move
I,
men with their words.
I'm not disputing that the words, but again, we also spoke earlier on how affirmation is something that is leans a lot more towards women. Women
Right.
enjoy the affirmations, and well, we didn't speak about it. I heard it on the sermon today. Women enjoy affirmations a lot more than sometimes men, because men will make you apply it.
Right, but
Men
men
will
need it
give
when they're boys. And that's where we're talking about love and things like that. That affirmation comes when you're a boy. So when you become a man, you're not nobody can really tell you that you're not the man. You know what I mean? And I think when men become men, then those words really aren't, you put the action into play more so than the words.
and
But
that
when
that's
you're a boy, you do need those words. You need something
well,
to believe in.
you're lending to my point, which is I'm not disputing the importance of having those words, but those words by themselves are similar to how they say biblically, uh, faith without work.
Works, right.
So that faith that you're
So
referring to, I
Mama
can't
gives you the
even.
faith. Daddy makes sure you put the works in, and that's how it was in my house, in my
And
household.
and in your
Dad made sure
household,
we put the works in. Mom kept the faith. Mom kept those words of encouragement. Mom made sure the proverbs were streaming all up and through, so we knew that we could do it. And Dad made sure the works was carried
well,
out.
I guess what
Can I get an
you
opportunity
go
to
ahead.
answer the
Please,
question?
please, Hank.
Me,
Go ahead, Pink.
Precious, is there a way you could put that question back up, I guess, for me, please?
Yes. Let me. Here we go.
What's the best way to pursue a woman that you admire, even if she desires other men? Look here, man.
No, she's desired by other men, not that she desires other men. She's desired by
Yeah.
other men.
I'm sorry if I misread it. Yeah, I don't want a woman that's not. If other men are not looking at my woman, then I need to reevaluate my. I need to reevaluate myself, my taste in women. You know, why ain't she looked at by other? Why ain't other men looking at her like, damn, she's a pretty looking woman? I gotta just, check out. I don't have no problem with that. But that's the level of confidence I have in myself. I'm a dime plus 99. She's lucky to even have me. So she's blessed, to be with me, to be my lady, and then to one day be my wife. So I'm not worried about no other dudes coming and play, as long as she's right where she needs to be at. She's gonna be good. I know she's gonna, fend them off, or else she wouldn't be my wife. She wouldn't have my last name if she's not. I'm not gonna waste my time. If she's looking out there looking for moving like she just wants the attention and act like that, and that's what she's always doing, everything to look to get another man's attention. Yeah, that's a problem. Then you don't want to pursue a woman like that. But once you with her and she's with you, she knows what she needs to do. Because I done had the conversation. That's part of that tough conversation you got to have with these ladies that you're pursuing to be a possible wife, a possible mate, whatever the case may be. You got to definitely have that conversation. Hey, I know you're a beautiful lady, but it's me and you. What's your feelings about, when somebody, and how would you deal with this situation? And you throw scenarios in a way. That's exactly what you need to do, and then see how she answers and deals with them scenarios. And if they're not to the point of your liking, if you're not hearing what she's saying, she's not sitting there saying, well, I just want to get out there and look pretty. Baby, no. What is your name? Is your name what's her name? Girl? What's your girl Carrie's wife? Is
Steph Curry's wife?
Yeah, Steph Curry. What's her name? Aisha Curry.
Aisha, yeah.
I mean, is that who I'm doing? Yeah. You sound like you still want to be for the streets. You're not ready for a real relationship right now, and that's cool. But I'm just not your guy, and you definitely not gonna be my wife. So yeah, I don't have no problem with for women being pursued by another man. I don't blame them. I do not blame them. I would too. And the worst you can say is no. And if she turns you down, that's what she's supposed to do. She's with me. She's supposed to turn you away. She's supposed to show you that ring. She's supposed to let you know she's engaged. She's in a relationship. And you just need to move on and find another tree to bark up on. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my answer, my guy. I hope that helps you.
I completely agree with that. I think men should go full throttle after what they want, because if not, like my basketball coach used to tell me, I said it yesterday, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You miss them, and then you have this what if complex about you, and it's like you'll never know unless you go and find out. That's where you need to F around and find out. Like that's where you need to, mess around and find out, with that beautiful woman. But you so worried about other men desiring her And she probably ain't giving none of these men a time of day. You could be the one, and she's not giving these men a time of day, and you worried about the other men. I say go after for what you want, go after what you want, and don't let nothing stop you.
I would say stop you. I want to stop you. Identify that what you want is something valuable to what you need in your future. Because a lot of people go after what they want, and what they want is not what's best for them.
Mm.
It's just their desire. And I think a lot, I say it all the time, you deserve more than you desire. So I would say identify and what you value and what you deserve, and then to your point, go after it. But a lot of times you want, that chick who ain't about nothing, but she look great. You want that girl that's for the street, as Hank was just describing with Aisha Curry, but ain't prepared for the responsibilities to be the wife. And coming from Captain Savashon, you got to be able to understand the difference between, I guess, a hoe and a housewife. And, in the Death Row, Snoop Dogg, Dog Pound era, you can't make a hoe a housewife. So,
nope.
You might want a hoe. And that's what going back for final thoughts, that's what we were talking about earlier, is wanting, and how do we learn to love? A lot of times we got to learn what to love, not learn how to love. Because if we learn what to love, how to love them.
Uh-oh. That was Jesus saving.
Uh-oh.
I told y'all only Jesus saves, y'all. I keep telling y'all this.
Somebody internet worse than mine tonight.
It's final
I
thought.
can't even talk. My internet is horrible tonight. I can't even talk. I
got a phone call.
Okay. Saved by the bell. All right, go ahead.
No, all I was saying is sometimes we gotta understand what to love, because then it'll easier determine how to love. Because if you identify what to love or who to love, rather, what to love and who you love, then there are no barriers on how you can love them.
Mm-hmm.
Where our barriers, concerns, and skepticism and doubt comes from is because we are investing and loving in the people who usually don't deserve or cannot embrace the type of love that you're willing to give. And so therefore, you'll wind up being like that man who got a whole lot of love to give and ain't got no way to give. And by the way, I think it was a skit. Thank you for identifying he was a comedian, because it just looked like it was a skit. But nonetheless, for those men who are not joking about it or not making skits about it, who have a whole lot of love to give, learn who to love. So then how you love them will just be natural, and you won't have to worry about being vulnerable, being taken advantage of, if you can identify the right person to love and you can give it all to them.
All right. Thank you. That was your final words, thoughts as well, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to go over to Hank, and then we're going to close out with my co-host, the actual King Smith.
I guess my closing words, yes, fellas, you definitely got to teach a woman whatever you need to teach her. Whether it's, if it's how to love you, how to treat you, and there's times you got to teach her how to respect you, because what your definition of respect may be something different to somebody else. So you got to let it be known. So if it means you need to break down every barrier, standards, and requirements and expectations to her, then do it. then do it. Don't give her a chance for no out. Don't say, oh, I didn't know. Bullshit. He told you. I told you during the interrogations. This is what I want. This is what I expect. This is what I need. You can't live up to it, then we can't live. Not together. I can't bless you. And I'm going to leave you to the streets. Then follow up and do that. Don't pursue some bullshit, man. Don't accept bullshit. If you're the man, like you say, you're the man, then stand up. Be the man that you need to be. She'll recognize, she'll respect that, she'll understand what it is. Matter of fact, she maybe not. I can't, his standard's too high. He expects too much. Cool, let her go. Leave her at the damn restaurant. It doesn't matter. Let her go with somebody else and you keep it moving. Whatever your core standards is, don't move off of them. Because now she sees that's a sign of weakness. You're not a man of your word. And she'll take advantage. And you end up like a little buddy trying to negotiate doing your vows and accepting bullshit you know you normally wouldn't accept. But just because you moved off your square, yeah, now she took advantage of that. And she'll keep doing it if you let her. So be a man, stand up.
All righty. And the actual King Smith, your final thoughts, sir?
He took the words right out of my mouth, and I was trying to think of a pivot or something else to highlight or bring up, but no, that to me, out of everything today, that right there needs to be known. Don't be afraid to put actions to the thoughts that you have. If you have to do that, get a long laugh. That no. If when you think it was you, Precious, that said men know within their gut that feeling that says don't do this. Listen to that shit more often, and don't be afraid to walk away, or don't be afraid to take that step. Leave from that altar. Be like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Don't be afraid to do that. To me, that's courage. You listening to that thing on the inside that's telling you shouldn't do this. Don't be afraid to listen to that. That's all I have.
And I realize that I don't have confidence, ladies and gentlemen. Before we leave, I'm sorry to interrupt. I said it in the chat, but I want to verbally express this. I don't have confidence in my bed. I'm looking at Hank's bed. I saw Groom's bed, and I'm looking at the picture of King's bed, and I'm realizing that I don't have a bed like that, and I'm feeling a little inadequate right now. So I'm gonna go deal with that with my cape and my emotions that I'm feeling behind that. So, brothers, your beds look good, and I'm gonna go eat by myself in my little bed, and I'll talk to y'all later.
I really can't.
Hey, shout out to the baby. Let me shout out to
Little
the baby.
beers matter.
Hey, that's all right, Sean. Hey, I'll send you a picture of a peacock, man, to turn your spirits up.
Oh man,
that was a good one. Not the peacock again. Well, guys, thank you so much. This has been a great show. We started out with a man who seemed very insecure in these dating streets. So it seems as this first time maybe getting rejected or stood up. And he took to social media to let us, or to ask us a question. What did he do wrong? And I actually like people who ask questions, because you're actually, invested in finding answers. So even if it was a skit, at least he probably got a lot of feedback back. You know what I mean? And kudos to him. I hope he puts that into play. I hope he, takes some things with a grain of salt. But I think that if there are men out there that are trying to mentor him or give him advice, I hope that he, takes heed to the people that are really giving him some good advice. Because I've seen men in those comments that are like, man, if you want to get a girl like this is what you're going to have to do. And it's nothing extreme, it's nothing, out of the ordinary that's going to change him in a way where he's not going to be himself, but it is going to give him a little bit more. If he was to do those things, it would give him a little bit more confidence. If you don't get that confidence from your mother or your father, you have to find that confidence within yourself. And if that takes, for me, it was back in the day. I always tell people that Barnes and Nobles is like is one of my favorite stores because there's so much knowledge in there. And when I couldn't get the answers from the people that I needed to get answers from, or when I didn't get poured into the way that I would have liked to get poured into, I had to pour into myself. And while that's a tedious journey sometimes, and it's like, well, why do I have to do this when I have people that should be doing this for me? I couldn't wait. I couldn't blame anyone anymore. I couldn't, say, oh, well, you didn't do this, or you didn't say this to me, or you didn't give this to me when I was a child. And so I'm going to blame you for that. And I'm going to be this way forever and not do anything about it. No. So kudos to him for asking for help. What did I do wrong? So hopefully he does change some things up and can build his confidence and hopefully date successfully. We then showed a clip of what was next after that? The woman who didn't want to obey, right? She didn't want to obey. And I think that with that, you can't take what God ordained to be in vows and then pick and choose when you want to say them and when you don't want to say them, because it really shows your heart posture and the character of a woman that you are. If you're going to take those things out, then maybe you should hold out until you're sure that you want to give your all and your everything to this man, and not just the things that you're picking and choosing on giving to him. And then as far as teach me how to love, again, men, I would say that, if you didn't get it from your mother, if you didn't get it from your father, don't look to the streets. I know that Sean said, it's not who we love, but what we love. And honestly, God is love. God is love. And it's not what other people are telling you who God is. It's not who your parents brung you up to know who, God should be. It's a whole personal experience. It's a personal experience. Nobody can tell you about your God. Can nobody tell me about my God? Because we have a relationship that teaches me how to love, that ushers me into how to love someone like I love myself. And if you don't love yourself, you're not going to be able to love people. I also worked in a lot of jobs where I was a server or a bartender. And so I've learned how to love and deal with, I love people in general, but I've learned how to deal with them and converse with them in a way where they understand that I'm here to help you, or I'm here to assist, or I'm here to, I have your best interest at heart. And so I think for men, you really need to tap into, your own personal relationship with God, not who you think that he is, or things like that, because a woman is also going to love a man and how he reverences God, because that's where that trust and confidence for a woman comes from, right? So supposed to come from your parents through the man, and then the man imparts it on the woman. But if the man don't have it, then the woman is not going to have that trust and confidence in him. And so I think that's important, really, leaning on a power that's higher than you. Us women look to you guys to be strong and mighty and, got it all together, but sometimes you don't. And we have to know that that's the reality of who you are. You're a human. But for you also have to find those avenues and that alone time and that quiet time away from everybody else to actually tap into that personal relationship. And it's between you and God. It ain't got to be between nobody else. But it has to be there, because that's where you get your humbleness from. That's where you get your meek and your mildness from, even as a man. And like I said, nobody else got to know about it. But it is helpful for the foundation of a man in loving a woman. And that's in the Bible too, right? Men should love their wives, and wives should respect their husband. And I believe that John the Baptist came up here and said that. It's all written in there. And it is the most masculine form of love that you can experience. But there is also a lot of feminine features and a lot of feminine, I would say, literature in the Bible that teaches you how to love your wife. And again, it teaches wives how to respect their husbands. So I really appreciate you guys. We'll be back again next Monday. Today is Tuesday. So tomorrow you can catch me on Black Man Unfiltered Network. I believe that's tomorrow, Tuesday. And then on Thursday, I'll be on La Pif.
What
And probably
times?
Sunday as well. Tomorrow, I believe we start at 9 on the Black Man Unfiltered. And La Pif on Thursdays, we start around 9:30, 9:45-ish. And then on Sundays, we're on there around like 2 or 3. So just make sure you guys look at my community wall. I try to post when I'm going live on anybody's network on my community tab. So you're aware. And I also try to post it on my Instagram as well, which is Real Precious Official on Instagram, TikTok, The Real Precious on Facebook, and YouTube.
And one last thing,
So,
anybody who has not pressed like, please press like, please press subscribe, please share this with as many people as possible. Support the Real Precious. Her Cash App is right down there, as well as thank you for the super chats that were supportive. But definitely, she's doing this regularly, and I just urge everybody to support with the things at the very least that don't cost you anything, which is a like, a share, and we thank you for your comments.
yes. Thank you, Shauna. I appreciate that. And I did get a couple of what are these things called? Cash apps throughout the live. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Definitely hit that like button, subscribe, and share. But as I say, as we, exit every live, be real with yourself so you can be real with others. You guys enjoy your Tuesday. Have a good day. Bye-bye.